Welcome back, everyone, to NACL Summer 2024. I'm Mazel, and I'm joined by Cubby, and you have to deal with me for a second day in a row. I apologize, everybody, but unfortunately, Eric is feeling a little bit sick. I'll be filling in for him. Hope he feels better soon. Now, we get to find the culmination of this Week 6. We are getting so close to the end, Cubby. It's getting so excited.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, NACL has just been full sprint for the season. We've got 9 weeks in our split, about to wrap up Week 6. We have not had that dreadful 3-week break. So, gameplay here has actually been pretty good. Some of the teams have been scaling, and I think we have 2 really strong matchups for you today.
A little bit of a low blow. I like it. Start off strong here, then we'll build up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings here and a breakdown of exactly what we have. There is a literal dragon lording over everyone here in NACL, but the real question is that middle of the pack and the bottom of the pack.
The Dragon still got off to that hot start Week 1, upsetting FlyQuest challengers, who were our defending champs. And I think FlyQuest is still one of the stronger teams that we have in the league, but them dropping to Disguised last week actually made our standings very tight. We said coming into the split, we felt like there was going to be a very competitive middle of the pack, and I feel like that prophecy has been fulfilled by our teams, as Fierce Starforge, Disguised putting up much better series, TLC looking competitive, and Supernova as well, who we'll see in action in the second series later today. All these teams have been vying that we don't really have a clear top dog outside of Dragonsteel. I think we have so many teams below them that they will be challenged at some point in playoffs. So really excited to see how this split continues.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that continuation, because we have the matches on deck today. It's Fear X Starforge versus CCG to kick us off, and then FlyQuest Challengers in ZXT versus Supernova.
Yeah, excited for, honestly, between both matchups, we have a lot of players who have competed on each side of the aisle. Looking at someone like Instinct, who was on that CCG roster that did promote, now on Fear Starforge. And then on the flip side, Manui Trevor trying to get some revenge against their old org, who they started in the league with as well. So that's fun. And then, of course, FlyQuest against Supernova. 2 of the top 3 teams that we had last split, each looking to climb their way back up the standings, as I think each have played decent, just haven't found as many series wins as they might have wanted to, and should be a very competitive game against 2 of the teams that I had higher up in my tier list to start off the year.
And we have such contentious games in the middle of the pack there today, too, as well. Yeah. We are going to take a look at Fear X Starforge first and foremost. The Grim Reapers of the league here, and a lot of LCS experience across the board.
Yeah, that and a lot of drip, too, with the Fear Starforge. As
every time.
Yeah, this was a roster where we really felt like it would just up the level of the league, kind of like how Dignitas and LCS picked up, Licorice, who wasn't playing last split, Spica, who wasn't playing last split. We felt like Fear Starforge were the same way for NACL, with XU joining the league, ABO picking up the sticks again, Winsome coming back, and they have been pretty decent. To me, this team feels like they've kind of beaten themselves more than they've actually been beaten at times, and we're looking for them to put up, I'd say, more like cleaner mid games and not make some of the errors that we've seen. I think sometimes they all participate in a little bit of tempo destroying on the Rift, as we have seen some interesting decisions that lead to them getting picked and outscaled, but good chance to take a win today against CCG, who will have a new member on the Rift, Mazel.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting addition. Obviously, super late into the season when you're trying to fight your way through that middle of the pack here for CCG and maybe even stave off the promotion relegation. But it is a team, nonetheless, who are going to have a little bit more backing to them as they face off against their old organization for Shochi, Manui, and Trevor. But I think also Kryra's entrance, very, very hard against XU, who has a lot of LCX experience.
That is true. That said, I've been on the record of my own stream saying that Kryra, for me, was the single biggest snub from NACL this past split. I sat in 2 combines as a coach and a scout where I was looking at everyone who was competing, and for me, Kryra was arguably the strongest player in each combine I saw. Now, that it doesn't feature some of the top NACL talent that already had teams, but I think Kryra's a really strong performer. His is a really unique background where he is a Zach and Evelyn 2-trick from solo queue, which is just the wildest combination that you can find. I think it really leads to him finding a way to actually create his own leads on the map, and also being able to see engages and angles, as Zach and Evelyn, two very unique champs for the angles that you have to see. I think his Graves is fantastic. He's very good when he's able to eat resources, and that is the meta that we are in right now in jungle.
Yeah. I will say, though, as a bit of an introspective point, again, you're getting close to the end of the season. It's developmental league itself. Chad was a lot of the direction of the team, and I feel like he has had his own leaps and bounds in his growth. So it really is big shoes to fill, it feels like, for Kryra, but and maybe he's got the feet for it. And I think also the top lane matchup for us was a little bit of an interest for the fact that Crimson has been the counter pick king, it feels like a lot of the times, but maybe hasn't had the sticking power, but is definitely in that conversation for rookie of the split.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's a narrower pool, but I do think Crimson's been quite strong. And I'll be interested to see if he's able to continue that today against Philip, who I also feel like has been flying under the radar as a really strong player of this split.
Yeah, we're getting into draft number 1 of our 2 best-of-3 day. It is Fear X Starforge on the blue side, banning away the Ziggs already, and we have CCG on the red side, banning away the Nidalee.
Yeah, Ziggs has been a really big target against both Shochi and Manui, who no one would know better about their ability to play that than Coach Cal, who had both these guys when they were in Fear. That said, I'm interested to see what the jungle pool looks like for Kryra, just because we haven't really seen Kryra yet. And I was talking to Manui before the games a little bit about why they ended up making the swap. They said that their scrims were actually going pretty well. They just weren't able to translate all that on the stage, and they tried out Kryra, decided that was the angle to go. I'm with you. You know, I feel like Chad is actually someone that played really well with Fear Starforge last split. He doesn't have the chance to get a revenge game this time around, but I feel like, again, Kryra, jungle pool is just so deep here in NA, and Kryra is a player that I've been looking forward to seeing in challengers. So I think it's a really good opportunity for Kryra to come and show his stuff. I would not be surprised if he's a mid-tier jungler like on this roster just to start NACL. I actually think very highly of this player. And I hope that we see some of the things that I saw in the Combine come to fruition with the stage games today.
That's also where you might have a little bit of fun on the other side for Mr. XU, because, hey, get to take advantage of a newer jungler, maybe just the ticket forward. As it is the Corki first pick here, we did see a continuation of some of those AD bans, but more importantly, the AP jungler is going to continue to be banned by CCG as we get to their first pick.
Yeah, Rumble, Zyra, both champs that have very high priority and high win rates here in NACL. But with all the marksmen taken off the table, it does leave Corki up. We've yet to see Tristana picked up, and I know Tristana saw some changes. People are kind of 50-50 on whether or not she's out of the meta. Her solo queue win rate went down significantly. You go through a lot more mana now in the laning phase. That said, it's always been Shochi's champion, and so I would not be surprised if we see Tristana picked up by CCG in this draft. That said, with Ezreal showing, I have a feeling we're going to see like a Brand Leona come in. Yeah, it's going to be Brand picked up here for Kryra.
Yeah. And I just, again, going back to that priority conversation, we see it be rampant in the meta right now, because if you can get mid lane priority, these AP junglers get a lot more flexibility in where they can go in their pathing. I do also like just the mini point of taking away kind of the double poke comp that typically you see the Corki, Ezreal, things like that come together. It is just going to be go buttons right now, though, for Fear X Starforge as they grab the Leona and the Renekton.
Yeah, so dropping jungle for XU, that's going to be interesting to see what he ends up going with. That said, CCG, they have a choice. Do they want to match or take an AD or match the support or match top lane? As I think if they want Cassante, you got to grab it now if you are Crimson. But support options, you have Braum, Alistar, Rel all on the table. I'm kind of surprised they locked that in, given those 3 champions being left up. I feel like you could drop support and still get something decent, but whoever wants the Rel, and that will be the pick for CCG.
And I do wonder how quickly these supports are going to be able to get out of the lane. That has been another huge point of the meta, is just getting engaged supports out roaming in the 2v2s specifically. But now we look at the second phase. I think all eyes on CCG's jungle bans right now. It is the Kai'Sa that's the first ban, though, anyways.
If I'm going to ban jungle, I might think about taking away Sejuani, just to not have the Renekton Sejuani front line. That said, they want to take away some ADs, so denying the Kai'Sa from Instinct, I feel like, is a decent move. And yeah, with the Jax ban, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Cassante ban. For me, that makes it even more appealing to take away Sejuani here, which will be the case.
There you go. Yeah. That's a big pick. And it also just gives a lot of direction for Fear X Starforge. So taking any of those tools away is super important. Wonder if they're going to continue to try to focus down this top lane matchup for this Renekton.
It might be the case. If you want to deny Cassante, you can. It would narrow up Crimson's pool pretty significantly. And we have seen Crimson default to something like Aatrox. That said, will be the Olaf taken away. So Cassante is on the table. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. You would preserve the Ezreal flex, which we've seen be played both mid and bot. That said, they're going to let Crimson get 5 pick and actually take Zeri here. So I expect Zeri to be bot with the Rel. That said, we have seen some double flexes going on. So if you draft a really poor lane matchup here for Zeri in Fear Starforge, take something like a Draven maybe, there is a world where you can put that Zeri mid into the Corki.
Would love to see a little bit of that play around for CCG, especially with the kind of different drafts we've been able to get in this meta. It is the misfortune, though, so you're getting a big wombo combo to layer up with the Leona, and that has been bright as rain, it feels like, here recently.
Yeah, curious what we have Axu go for as... I mean, Vi is something that is appealing, and Xu's played quite a bit of. He's yet to put a game onto Karthus, but that's going to change now as Karthus locked in, and there's a lot of squishy members showing on CCG, so if Karthus does get ramping, leading off with that ultimate before team fights to open or close the fight could be big. And that's the Cassante we were teasing. All draft come out 5 pick for Crimson.
Just delayed counter picks coming through here. It's fine. Big thing I want to think about a little bit is the mentality going into this one for XU. As you mentioned, Karthus, not something we have seen necessarily, but is more so something where you're begging the enemy jungler to come at you, right? Like, if you let this Karthus get to a point of 3 items, you're going to be half healthing the enemy team with a Requiem, and I think it's a position where you can play very safe for Fear and force Kryra to be active.
Yeah, frankly, I really like Fear Starforge drafts right now. I think that they have the lanes that can push up and protect this Karthus to make sure Karthus gets really good starts, or really good starts to this game. And from there, CCG has to hit the mid-game hard, but I don't even think they're mid-game stronger than Fear Starforge. I feel like Fear Starforge, they have stronger laners early, and Karthus is going to be the big difference maker later on. So I think this might be a tough one for CCG. If anything, I'm looking for plays around getting Ezreal prio bot so Rel can roam first. I feel like that's where CCG can start their plays.
We're getting into game 1 now of the day, so everybody get locked in as it's Fear X Starforge versus CCG. Make sure you're spamming in chat who you got, and also go ahead and hit that subscribe button while at it. Half the proceeds go to support all these players and teams that you see on your screen. And I couldn't be more excited for this level 1 because first we have Manui versus Instinct, but we have a potential invade onto the bot side jungle by CCG to get some vision. But look at Instinct. He's forced out of the lane already.
He'll be able to get back with full health, so it's not that big of a deal. It just guarantees that CCG gets a couple of positive wards vision around this bot side as Manui. Oh, that's a big Mystic shot. We're going to have Instinct potentially be very delayed here.
Trevor.
Oh, my goodness.
This is incredible. Instinct's like, guys, what did I do?
He drops the Ignite? That's crazy. Going through runes real quick, see if we have anything interesting. We do have Winston going for this. There's been a player on the Korean ladder running the red tree with Leona in this setup that's actually done very well. Demolish, I must say, is interesting, but you do get to push up in this lane. So Fear Starforge really looking to drive home that early lane lead that I expect for them to have bot lane. That said, nice curveball thrown from Manui and Trevor. It's a really delay Instinct's base, and I'm curious if our observers can show bot. Are they going to miss any XP? Because it sure as hell looks like it. MF, yeah, that's at least one creep down.
Oh, they go for the engage as soon as they get back, though. A little 2v2 action kicking off. They, at least for CCG side, we're trying to get priority down here to keep them off the wave. Looks like things will go through, and we did end up getting a little bit of CS missed.
Yeah, I mean, not just miss, but the big thing is experience miss, because now, again, if Ezreal and Rel are able to actually step up in this lane, Rel can get freed up to move on the map and actually make plays.
They have the level 2, the double crash down 2, but Manui's still pumping damage here. They won't be able to follow under tower, but that is a huge push on bot side for CCG early.
This has been really nice so far for CCG, because again, if you play this lane where you meet in the middle, it takes Ezreal a couple levels usually to actually get Mystic Shot poke onto MF, and she can dominate the wave. with that level 1 going the way it did, CCG have a pretty decent lead in the bot side. I know this is something that Manui, he feels like they've been playing pretty well in scrims, just haven't been able to transition it on the stage. And this is the kind of lead that you don't expect to see on a stage game. It's been very nice to see CCG be able to find the bot lane here.
See if they can continue playing around it, because I want to check out on jungle path. I think we said it was going to be super important in this matchup, and what Kryra can do to be a little bit more active potentially on this brand. It is going to be the culmination of paths in an opposite fashion here, and potentially just the resets that are already coming through for XU.
Yeah, it's like what we like to call the mirrored pathing. You do the same camps on the opposite side of the map. So it should be bot Crab going over to Kryra right on time. And again, I really feel like XU, he wants the first couple of clears to be neutral. I think the big point of contention will be Grubs. Because Brand, for me, does beat Karthus at the Grub fight, but you have Renekton that can really... Like, sometimes you just see Renekton top, and it's like, okay, Grubs goes to the Renekton team, given how strong he is when he hits 6. So we'll be curious to see if CCG decides to contest those Grubs.
Double shattering strikes into the crash down again, and Trevor just can't miss. Instinct's getting the Ignite burned on him again, but not going to go down this time around. XU right behind them to provide a little bit of support at least.
That's big too, because XU is on at least the bot side. He's not taking that top crab, so potential for Kryra to actually find a double crab when he gets the reset here. Because XU has a choice whether the path for the crab on the top side or play for his Krugs that are respawning. Looks like he's going to walk mid and potentially threaten that top side, but it does set his clear behind just a little bit.
Shochi does still have the dash and the flash. He's still going to be just fine. Just trying to move the pressure towards this top side. He's actually trying to go for an invade there. There's not going to be any chicky nuggies for him on that side of the map, but he will get the scuttle crab.
Yeah, I do like the look. Fear Starforge didn't see the start for Brand, so if Brand did start Raptors, those would have been up. That said, he started the red buff, so it slow down the Brand clear a little bit, but because of that, Brand should be able to get his upcoming camps. That said, a Blaze Olive, he's actually going to go for the Raptors here with XU. So the delayed invade was scouted out by Philip, who was able to push up past the turret with this wave. Does secure XU that Raptor respawn, which is quite nice.
That's big. And in a matchup where we were saying maybe they need to be a little bit safe, Shochi needs to be a little bit more safe than that. Isn't going to dash over the wall there, but has to be careful with the priority he's giving to a Blaze Olive in mid lane now as well. Yeah, they might actually try to look for this one.
Yeah, the Phosphorus Bomb. Yeah, getting vision. We're still able to spot Shochi. I don't think it's going to have to be a reaction speed test, so I think the Zeri's fine. But really nice from XU and ABO to play for that Raptor respawn camp. Does slow Kryra down just a bit. And again, the big thing for me is the choice coming up for the Grubs. Do you want to have a Grub contest for CCG, or is it going to be played towards the stronger bot side and look for the Dragon? Wards will tell us what the choice is for Fear Starforge.
I want a 3v3, and I want it right now. We're going to get the flash out of Trevor to go for instinct. They realize he doesn't have anything but the barrier. He's going to pop it last second. Kryra's the focus. They get him, but it's first blood to Manui instead. And Winsome is now being focused down, but it's going to be the one-for-one trade back and forth.
I really don't think CCG was expecting XU to be here. That's why they forced that play so hard. Again, the Grubs are up. You have a Renekton on the top side with a Karthus. XU, given the pathing that he had the option to do his bot camps or top camps. He ended up doing Raptors and Krugs to cover for this dive. It's been an experience for XU. I mean, it's a great call from him to actually go for the cover here, because they were able to trade out 1-for-1, and he was able to sit here and soak some of the XP. That said, I think it's going to lead to a Grub drop, which, in the end...
Shochi! One auto attack after the flash into Blaze Olive with the solo bolo.
Flash was not used preemptively, and that's big, because now, when I was talking about where this play could have went wrong for the Karthus, is that the time that he spent bot, he was late to the Grub, so that allowed for Kryra to get in, but now with your mid laner dead, no TP, Shochi has to take that walk of shame back. Kryra has to pull off the Grubs, as Philip also sacked some of his health, but did bring some pressure down there, and now Kryra again slowed down by the map of Fear Starforge.
What a pickup of the maybe dropped ball of CCG in that regard, and I think Fear X Starforge now feel a lot more confident to move over here. They've already gotten Winsome up on this top side of the map. Bot lane's gonna be extremely safe. Shochi, he might be re-answered to. He has no flash, and he's walking into Death Rush there. XU gonna get the Wall of Pain into Blaze Olive right over the wall. He's gonna wiggle that Corgi butt straight to another kill.
Oh, wait, the pop off the Grub. Oh, not enough damage quite yet for the Brand proc to actually get the Karthus.
True shot.
doesn't come along. But I think that's enough health off the Karthus to actually look for the grubs. Now we'll see if Cryer can go for it, but Shochi... Yeah, nice move from Winsome. Shochi cannot walk there. They did not have the control to go there quite yet, and he gets punished. His top side, we have action everywhere.
The all-out straight into the wall, just trying to get the combo into Philip. He heals up a decent amount. Requiem, going to be a sweet song from X2 to back up his top lane.
I think that's the end of the grub fight. Philip has TP available, so he can base and get back, and Fierce Starforge can use that to just secure the rest of them. So, elongated fight for the grubs, but 2 out of the first 3 do end up in X2's hands.
We'll take a look back at this bottom lane play. Ends up being first blood for Manui, but is that trade?
Yeah, so look at the camps up for Karthus. He has his topside camps up again. Off this play, when he dipped in the fog, he had all 4 camps available. And I truly think that CCG actually was guessing that Karthus would be on the top side to play for the grubs that were spawning like 5-10 seconds after we get out of that replay. So I feel like Kryra kind of taking a little bit of a flip there with CCG. Ended up flipping wrong. Does get a 1-for-1 trade. And the gold, given where it went, it still is going to be advantage Ezreal for a bit, but with the rush of the BT, MF can sustain through the Ezreal Mystic Shot poke and actually ends up being okay in this lane once again.
And I love to see XU playing little mind games against Kryra as well. Obviously a new fill-in for CCG, but XU very, very well known after his time on LCS squads, but also here back in Tier 2. And now it is actually Kryra going to take a little bit of the forward hand and take the first dragon of the game for CCG.
Yeah, bot's been winning for most of the game, so not surprised to see CCG pick this up. That said, all the technicness we've had on the map in the last couple of minutes itself. 1k gold lead for Fierce Starforge, and I think importantly, lies in the hands of ABO. We've seen what this Corki can do if he gets the 2 items first from Zell. He does so much damage. So, again, I really like the Fierce Starforge comp. I feel like they're set up a bit better than CCG so far.
Little note here, Winsome is level 6 over Trevor. Trevor will be very close to it. Now he's going back to lane, but I was wondering if Fear X Starforge wanted to move for a play there with it. They are going to be spotted out on this move to Cryer.
Yeah. So, I will say, props to Cryer here on a good hover. It probably does exist right now for Fear Starforge, and him wrapping up his clear to end on the bot side will end up protecting his bot lane. As Shochi trying to scout out Xu will be able to find him.
They've got the move from Trevor.
Not spotted
He hasn't
yet.
been spotted out. The big clanking metal horse walking around the fog there. I think you can maybe just hear it.
Yeah. Cryer is sitting on quite a bit of gold, so I think he's going to take this bot crab in base. And Trevor's just here to make sure that no harm befalls Shochi yet again. So, a little bit of a deep breath here, Mazel. Again, I really feel like scaling is in favor of Fear Starforge. The one thing that can break it is Ezreal. So I think Manui being where he's at right now is important. I'm just not sure that Ezreal's going to have enough damage to actually get through everything that Fear Starforge can't throw at them. As Philip looks for the empowered stun. Not quite able to find it. Just finds the Q.
Adam wants to follow it up,
yeah,
though. There's the Requiem, too. I don't know if it's going to be enough damage outright because of the shield, but he's getting a little pressure from the entirety of Fear X Starforge. And now we get more plates over to Philip on the top side, but there is a play developing as Cryer comes over the wall. Philip will see him, going to try to get out of here, but he's being surrounded. And now it does get the flash out of him, but as he comes around the corner, we'll find a Trevor in way. He tries to get the back there. I love that Philip's trying to play his own mind games up here. He's going to get the Ignite burned onto him. There's the flash play, and Cryer will guarantee that one for CCG.
Nice EQ there from Cryer. Follows through on the Renekton. So that play did take a while to develop. Nui.
Bot side play. Oh, trying to predict the doesn't have play there. Does get the flash at the end, but the bullet time. Oh, it's so close. Instinct almost making the play, but Fear X Starforge's dive goes a little bit wide.
I thought Manui was going down there for sure. Instinct can at least sustain through this with the Vamp Scepter. Manui should be fine. Well played from Manui. I thought going back under the tower was a bit bold because in the end, you did burn your Arcane Shift. You have flash, but if there's enough circles where it's really hard to get out of everything, especially the slow into the bullet time from MF. But it was just enough for Manui to survive and was able to pick up that wave. So, good attempt from Fear Starforge, and well done by Manui. He knew the limits, was able to get out of that one.
So I want to check in on something we talked about at the beginning of the game itself when we were saying maybe Cryer needs to be a little bit more active here as well against XU. That Requiem definitely going to be hurting. But we have the Blackfire Torch first item for XU, which is interesting in its own right. But it is also a situation where grubs are up.
Yeah, so the Torch first means that your 2-3 item hits harder. And given the lack of HP stacking for CCG, I actually like this from XU. Your clear is also a bit faster. So just it's a little bit different, but I think it's the right game to go Torch. That said, Kryra, if there's any window that I think CCG has to win this, it's going to be when Kryra finishes the Rylai's Crystal Scepter.
Yeah.
I do think that the front line for Fear Starforge between the Redacted and Leona, you can fall really vulnerable to Brand, and when you have the Rylai's start working, the ability for Zeri to step up and just get more damage down in those fights, it's real. So that's the window where I really feel like CCG have to hit to win. But I feel like with the draft that was picked up, Fear Starforge, they had better lanes, and then they kind of slingshot back in the late game with the Karthus. So I think this 2-item for CCG, once Manui gets that Evolve Mirror Mana, that's the real important part of the game for them. And that's why I also think it's so good that Corki's ahead, because he's the one that can match that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to have a little bit of clear the side lane as well is going to be very nice for them. The thing is, though, 5 grubs over the way of FearX Starforge. If they win a fight, they will be able to siege. And here, look at that winning fight that they just pulled off, too. Instinct picks up the kill on a Manui.
Manui no-sums the Zenith Blade to hit before the Arcane Shift came out, so Leona tails it, and that's a free one-shot for Fear Starforge. Well played.
Make the play on mid now. 1,000 gold up. Also, yes, the timer a little bit low, but it also means that the backs will come through for Fear, and they can reposition to potentially go for this dragon that'll be spawning. There is also the Rift Herald on the top side going through.
We'll say off-screen, I missed XU burn his flash. So that is something that they can look for this upcoming fight. And there is no bullet time either. So I would be a little bit surprised, actually, if Fear Starforge go for this dragon. I think they're going to seed it and look for a play on the top side. Or look for this Rift Herald that has spawn. They'd like to fight with their ults back up. Ult's very important for them in this one.
That's kind of the mantra we've said. Fear very willing, if they're let to just kind of sit back and relax and get some items under them, especially for XU. Looks like CCG move away from the dragon spawning time and try to get Braro on mid.
This is tricky from CCG. That TP from ABO actually guaranteed mid priorities, so they're a little bit scared to start up this dragon. It might cost them here because this Herald's about to be done.
Yeah.
Crimson is basing and has TP, so if they want to try and force the dragon now, it's doable. But Axu's going to be in position where he can actually contest the dragon take as well. So, well played from Fear Starforge. That TP mid again from ABO. That helped them get mid prio. And CCG was going to play off that wave instead of hitting the dragon. So, I think that the TP helping to force that now. CCG in a really tricky spot where Fear Starforge are looking to contest both objectives. And here comes that Requiem to boot.
Just to key off the fighting here. XU going to say a nice how do you do.
I mean,
and,
they can wait a wave, and they can fire off this Rift Herald mid if they really want to, as TP committed preemptively from Crimson. Fear Starforge, they have the option to drop this and just play for top. Exactly what they're going to do.
I mean, they'll just get the first turret.
Throws down Shelly. Phillips going to get the first turret on the top side as well. They can continue to push up there to follow him.
There's a crash in. The Might's helping out just a little bit here for Fear Starforge, but with Phillip crashing on that top side, that'll be all that gold going the way of Fear. And they'll get the first turret for that one. 2 dragons stacking for CCG, though, I will say is a benefit to them. I think in a lot of ways we were saying they need to be a little bit active, and I think getting them options as we go later in the game is good.
I really like how Fear Starforge have played this map so far. I think XU hovering bot to fix it in that lead that CCG found early was a big part of the game for them. And from there, it's really been... They've made it look simple, right? Just play around where we're strong, get our farm. And we're getting to the point here shortly where Fear Starforge... Again, I feel like dodging out of that Rylai's timer is going to be the biggest thing for them in this game. Besides that, I really feel like they have advantage in this draft.
And I think putting a little bit more of a spotlight on XU is due because he has kind of, with that big play, the kind of counteraction to Kryra's move, made this game state a lot for Fear. And I think for him, he hasn't had necessarily the big plays that he's wanted to coming back in NACL. We see Manui make it out alive there, but it's something he's been working on. He's working on his confidence, his leadership, and his shot calling.
Winsome might be caught here.
That's the flash out.
Nice
Look at that play, though. Winsome! That was absolutely despicable. As Phillip comes in, it is just CCG just getting ran into the ground. As Trevor gets a rocket to the back, this is all FXS.
Phillip had TP advantage and drove that engage home for Winsome to find even more. A huge gold lead now for Fear Starforge. As Winsome was caught, but once he gets the vision break, turns it on the Kryra, there wasn't a flash reaction from that solar flare. and blinded by the lights and the bullet time. Kryra fall. CCG lose a ton off that play. They're going to lose bot turret as well, Mazel. And Fierce Starforge, what a great play for them to just crack this one wide open.
I want a slow-mo replay of that one if I can, observers, because my God, Winsome's play there is absolutely despicable. And I love to see that because I think this guy has had a big influence on the teams he's been on, obviously FlyQuest, but now Fear X Starforge. He has also, with XU, a lot of the pole positions on how they want to play the game.
That was really nice from Winsome. I thought he was stuck in a tough situation. He ended up turning it right on his head.
You're locked in here with me.
Yeah, as now CCG just trying their best to defend this mid-outer from falling, which there's the last grub. The last grub tick gets it, and mid-outer's down, so all 3 outers taken by Fierce Starforge. 5k gold lead 18 minutes in, and this was a pretty closely contested early game, but man, I mean, off this play, Mazel, wide open now.
This is actually insane. Winsome is so dirty.
Oh, the R flash just not reacted to from Kryra. He gets one shot thanks to the MF combo. Then this TP from Philip was just in the perfect position where he one-shot Shochi and makes it impossible for Trevor to escape too. Really well set up by Fierce Starforge, as there was no play for CCG there.
That kind of veterancy, that kind of leadership, though, on full display here. And exactly what we wanted to see them take advantage of in this one with some of the roster swap for CCG. And I think Blaze Olive has had a strong undercurrent in this one on the Corki. And you have to also remember this is full Omega Fearless Overdrive, so none of these picks will be available in the next game. And honestly, Fear setting themselves up very nicely here, as also looking for a side lane play on the Crimson. But all is quiet on the home front here.
And no Rylai's yet for Brand. Again, I think that's the one timer where CCG can try and abuse that, maybe find something against Fierce Starforge, but until then you can see how self-sufficient some of these lanes are. As ABO playing a little bit back on the top outer, as he knows that they're showing 3 mid, and this mid inner will be granted for free. And there's no play on the Corki yet.
They got to play. Oh,
yeah, no play. He got out. That's big. Really, really well done by Fierce Starforge. As trade an inner for an outer, they'll like that.
Yeah, honestly, with that big of a shutdown, I'm surprised they didn't just burn flashes for him after that Valkyrie, but now they're just getting completely collapsed on. So some directionless play from CCG right now, and they're just getting caught all over the place. Everything's being cut off, and it's not even looking like a Hydra at this point. Blaze Olive has TP'd, or at least brought himself into the top side. Now flashing away, but Crimson gonna all-out instinct. They might actually get him here. Nice little trio from Shochi, Crimson, and Trevor. But you gotta remember, this is a 4v3, and Philip has yet to join the fight. He's signaling the engage with the Dominus. XU trying to keep off Shochi. CCG might have just pulled FXS for a loop here, but there's that big CC chain onto Trevor. Crimson gets one back, but gonna give another one to a Blaze Olive, and XU cleans up the other.
Good collapse from Fierce Starforge as CCG were stuck in the top side. They waited for the dive. ABO escaped and then waited too long to actually take that turret. So Fierce Starforge was able to get that play. Zeri's going to escape. And yeah, I mean, again, I think it's really tough for CCG to come back in this one. And just love the opener and the collapse they had. I think Crimson actually made a decent play to get back in this one, but the setup's so poor for CCG. They have no chances. Manui, he ate a Skittle from Fog, and that's not a great look. As now for the rest of it, I mean, Cryo was so chunked early on. He hasn't casted ult yet. Like, he actually gets a not too terrible ult off given the scenarios here, but still, the
Crimson's
opener
doing
of the
Lord's
fight.
work right now.
Yeah, the opening of the fight, I mean, it's just impossible to win from there.
I love to see Crimson sticking with it. CCG try to pull it together, but yeah, I mean, initially when you're that split up against this style of team competition, it's gonna be very hard to deal with, and you are just very far behind as well. Crimson giving his best effort though. Shout outs to him. But it is a holistic Fear X Starforge victory in that one, and you see the damage dealt. Just gonna almost kill Trevor outright with the combo as they were hovering around the Baron.
Yep, we'll send the support back to base. Of course, we are on the live patch here for Challengers League. So the Warmogs nerfs, they did come in. You can still find Warmogs early if you go, I believe it's Overgrowth, Ruby Crystal, and you need level 9 on most supports. So it's doable, but given the AP junglers this game, I think double Locket, right choice from each of our supports.
We made it, Cubby. We've made it to the second item. Is it gonna be enough for CCG? I don't know. Crimson gonna all out his way to safety here, as now Trevor was looking for the re-engage. They have the Rylai's for Kryra, a big item spike, but we have to wonder if the team fight's going to be enough for CCG.
Trevor didn't have Flash. I actually, if he had Flash, I would have really thought about that one, because you at least trade yourself for Winsome and get something on the brand. As good defense there from Kryra to at least try and push Fear Starforge back. You can see here, yeah, they're just going to come down. Requiem comes on down. There is a Zeri bot side, spell team matched by Philip. That Zeri could be in trouble, honestly.
That's a solar flare down. They were looking for the combo. Bullet time is almost back up. Oh, Philip! Yeah. Philip has made the play. Oh no, Shochi! There's a big old monster coming at you, and he's just gonna flash for the play.
Flash for flash traded. Meanwhile, Trevor does find ABO.
Trevor. He does. The Valkyrie over there. True Shot Bra is going to go a little bit wide. Bullet time across the wall, though. And you're just tapping them to death. Look at Philip. Now he's back here. The man can do everything. He's looking like a trapeze artist here. Fear X Starforge are dominating CCG across the board. 7,000 gold in the lead. And Kryra's entrance into the league not looking so bright here as he goes down as well.
I just think some of these plays from CCG, like, when you don't see Renekton on that side lane, like, yes, you're trading for the outer, but Shochi has ways to get out of that. If he pops the ult, he could have saved the skate to go over that wall by the alcove. Instead, you take the play, you're going to go down, because, I mean, that's a 2-item Renekton that's just bigger than you at the moment. And then that overextension, I don't think ABO is ever available there, even with him being down flash. Just with the angle that CCG took, I really feel like they're overforcing some of these plays and making the deficit they have even worse by, you know, overextending on the attempts to trade. I don't think it's been the best look here from CCG. Yeah. A lot of these fights have been disjointed, and now Fear Starforge looking to put the icing on the cake by starting up this Baron.
I think it goes back to the conversation at the beginning of the day. What was the direction going to look like with Kryra? We knew Chad had a lot of direction for the team. Now, speaking of direction, it's the stop of the moment onto Manui.
Manui can't steal it, you know? I saw Ezreal take Baron and LCS yesterday. They did
you
their
have
homework.
to guarantee it. You have to guarantee it.
Yeah. Masu had a yoink on Ezreal yesterday, so he's trying to deny that, Fear Starforge. Easy.
You gotta push every advantage you can. Speaking of, the 3.5 items for Blaze Olive, who's sitting 8-0-2 on the Corki. The only Corki we're gonna see in this best of, and you see why this pick has been absolute priority throughout League of Legends recently.
The changes they made to Corki were they hit his early game. You're still pretty much the same champion later.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a little bit more careful about how you W in, but if you could have had like this.
I still miss lethality, Corki. I still miss the, like, I'm jumping in your face and blowing you up in 1 second.
Not the Hail of Blades Corki. That was the worst. Big engage.
That's a big Magnet Storm. True Shot Barrage is going to guarantee instinct. Requiem back, though. You got to watch the damage. Philip is about half health, though. Crimson double knockback here. And CCG, they're fighting it back. XU gets knocked back again, and Crimson is setting up his team massively. Now they're trying to find Philip, too, but he's getting onto Trevor. Oh, God, a Blaze Olive is here. Oh, no, he's going to get locked down maybe here. He's going to flash out. And Kryra, he's going, but it's going to be Manui that shuts down a Blaze Olive. And CCG, they bring Fear down to their level.
There was no TP on ABO to start that play, so it was a 5v4 bot side for CCG, and the engage from Trevor was fantastic. They took down Instinct immediately. Yeah, check this. There, I don't believe there's a TP up on the Corki. And this engage, I mean, it's an insta 4v5, and with Karthus ulting, they pretty much take down the carry and are able to melt through the front line, where Zeri actually gets the front to back. They can lean off the Rylai's. And I really like how Kryra played this in the back half. Yes, Crimson's the one going beast mode on the front line, but watch Kryra shut down Philip on the backside, or I should say ABO, as he waits for the Valk and the jump to throw out his Q. As, yeah, you can see the E, waits for the flash, throws the Q, finds the stun. That was the one way where he was able to get out. And if that doesn't hit, I think ABO's fed enough where he at least takes potentially 2 down with him.
Yeah. I will say in all that, though, like, Crimson is lifting the weights. Like, those Q3s were massive to set up the rest of those picks. But now Fear, they are still at 7,000 gold in the lead. They are still looking at full map control. Another Dragon going to go their way. Another tier 2 turret as well. And they are still firmly in control of this game.
Yeah, still, that's something that Fear Starforge want to look back on. That's a pretty poor Baron deploy. If you are this far up, you can't be making those types of mistakes this late in the season here for Challengers League, especially for a team that's looking to, you know, have those bouts with the top of the table. I know for Fear Starforge, they feel like they've beat themselves more than they've actually been beaten. And that's a good example of like some of the stakes we're seeing where you have players that have competed in LCS at some point. All 5 of these guys have been on that big stage. And that's not a mistake that, you expect to see teams making. That's when you get a little bit lazy. You have plenty of ways to check that brush. Your Starforge, they don't do it. They fall victim. Yes, their lead's still intact, but really nice play from CCG to take advantage of that and get themselves back in this game a wee bit. I don't think they're going to have a chance to take this home, but it's something they can build off of for the next game.
And little saving grace, like you're going to be on 3 items for a double marksman composition, so at least you'll have that to you. And Kryra also have the Morellos now on 3rd item for Crimson. So you have a little bit more give in these fights. That 8,000 gold lead's not going to feel as bad, but it still feels pretty bad that you're getting 3rd item for XU now. Shadow Flame completed, and Manui losing a huge chunk of his health, but nothing else going to be on the table right now as we did have that Dragon Denial. So it's really just a lot of time that CCG are going to be happy with.
I gotta say, I was talking about how good Karthus is in the late game. Manui is going to go Bloodthirster next, and these ult openers from XU, they aren't going to work nearly as well. He's going to have to save them for the fight. Since Trevor W out of a Solar Flare. And Winsome, instead of blinding Trevor with the lights, he blinded himself, unfortunately. As
happens to the best of us,
A nice ward there actually gets around the control ward.
I really want this ward control here. I love that both teams are just feel like there's nothing else on the map. Let's just put everything we have there.
Yeah, I will say though, I think Fear Starforge, they have to be a little bit careful, as Ezreal can outrange a lot of what they have moving forward. And that is one way you can play around Karthus, by playing with the range, and actually can open up these ultimates after the Vamp Scepter comes in for Ezreal, which I assume will be next. So actually a couple angles where CCG thinks might be a little bit better for them later on than what I initially painted out, just given their access to lifesteal. And especially if Brand gets a Banshees, which I feel like is a decent next item, or a Seekers. They have ways to actually play defense against this Karthus.
That is the Bloodthirster, though, completed for Blaze Olive, so going to be on this 4 completed item with the boots. Be very strong as they come out here as well, and there is going to be a force of tempo as the Baron's coming up in about 45 seconds, and this is really what Fear have been waiting for. They have such a lead, they can force the hand of CCG around the objectives when they come up.
Yeah, and that topside vision control is still very much in favor of Fear Starforge, as can't see Manui at least able to pick up some life back from, I believe, the runes as well, that he went grab the lifesteal point going into this game. And CCG, I think it really is about finding instincts. Like, that feels like the easiest member to wombo. Also, ABO has no flash. They're tracking that. They do have a little bit of a timer here to actually try and play up. So we do see Manui get good poke down in the XU. Way to play defense into Karthus with that range.
Have to remember, the team fight is still very strong for CCG, but they try to go in on Crimson. That might not be the target you want to go for. TP is going to be coming in now, but CCG feeling very confident. Look at Manui sniping him now, but the big bullet time separating the fight. All out, going to separate Crimson even further from his team as the lightning crash comes down from Shochi. Philip is there in force as they come in with the Requiem. They're getting slowed down. Trevor getting low, but he gets the shield back. Everything else settles, and only Winsome is down.
Really good ult from Instinct to honestly keep that fight close for Fear Starforge. And with the health bar advantage, we'll see if they can push for this Baron. Crimson does have TP.
This feels bold, but Fear feel confident to move into this one. They still do have a ton of damage in the pit. Magnetstorm is coming out of the base, but there's the Rally Cry Baron buff secured by Fear.
ABO.
They're going to try to move here, though. Philip, he needs to be careful because Trevor's coming right around the corner. ABO able to poke out a decent amount. Fear trying to move away with the prize that they got, and it is the Baron buff secured.
Yeah, this Corki is really strong. We talked about Manui's ability to poke out the Karthus, as we're going to see Philip go down to the side lane. That's the lane he can push.
That is definitely not. He's going to try to find his way. Oh! He's going for the play on Manui. He's going for the play on Shoshi. He can't get it in the end, but it was a good try. Another shutdown goes to Manui, and he'll be picking up more gold, but they're losing their base.
They got a flash and an inhibitor out of it at least. They might be able to get bot inhibitor too, as CCG overcommitted for that play.
Kryra is here to defend. The Baron minions, though, are so strong. He's going to move in. Now Winsome goes for the engage. Bullet time over top of it. Kryra's just gone. Look at this flank, though. They're losing bodies, but Trevor's got the miracle play. True Sephiroth across gets the sniper and Manui. A double kill has come across for Instinct before he died. Now Manui still fighting tooth and nail, but it's not going to matter. Trevor going down. Crimson, he's still kicking. He gets a big shutdown there, and it's only XU left to try to push the base.
Man, all right, we got some serious energy, Shopify Rebellion energy in this game. Everyone's just throwing down here around the base. Well done from CCG to try and fight back in the back half. I just feel like each team are way overextending and overplaying their hand. So in the top side, we sent 5 to kill Renekton. That's not necessary. So now we actually have a play where we can take 2 inhibitors on the backside. But then this fight, just get out. You took what you took. You can see Xyu's rotating around, like try and find a wall to get them out, but there's no reason for ABO and Fierce Starforge to continue to go in like this. And it does open up a window where, again, Crimson, being the Cassante in these fights, has done a nice job of cleaning up.
It's insane to me how much damage a Blazeall is doing, though. Like, I could see where you're gaming and you're having fun when you're doing like a quarter of Crimson's health, one of the tanks with one rocket barrage. Like, that's actually just insane. And he is on full items now completed. So we get Fear back on the map with an over 10,000 gold lead. They had taken that third dragon as well. They're on Soul Point. We're looking at the final sieges coming up for CCG.
Has been quite thick here for ABO, who's really putting together a nice game.
Oh, yeah.
He found the lead for himself in the laning phase and has done a nice job of cashing it in, as we actually have, looks like not a Bloodthirster, but Hydra completed for Minui. Will help with the wave clear, still gives you some lifesteal as well. And Trevor lying in wait. They might be able to find someone here.
We've seen this before.
Yeah, Trevor's got a good angle.
He's going for a big flank on a Philip. Philip just goes straight in on Minui.
Minui's dead.
His shield, and Minui's just gone. Bullet time across, severs the head off of CCG. And that's all 5 members ready to siege for Fear X Starforge.
I mean, Shoji's no TP fixing bot lane, so you're opting into a 5v4. They didn't see everyone. And what's been kind of a sloppy game from each of our teams. Looking like it will end the way it should have with a Fear Starforge win, but CG made it interesting and continue to do so.
They do indeed. Yeah. They will end up losing Xyu. Shoji, who's putting up a performance here, trying to show him the Shoji, but he will end up going down. Kryra is the last one left. And as we see the pieces fall, Fear X Starforge are the stronger representative here in game number 1. They'll take a 1-0 lead in this best of.
Honestly, sloppy game. I think that if that first Baron deploys better for Fear Starforge, I think they clean this one up a little bit quicker. That said, CCG, props them. They found some angles to play their way back in. I just don't think they should have ever been given those angles. Checking those lane brushes on the side by those inner turrets. Something I'm going to look out to see if Fear Starforge do next game. They were almost caught off guard twice by those. But, man, a lot of fights taken where, you know, it was a numbers disadvantage. You're not respecting TPs. I think that's how Fear Starforge got a big lead in the first place. They had that awesome fight in the bot river off that engage from Winsome and a great TP from Philip. That was like really the one really clean play that we saw, Mazel. Besides that, kind of sloppy back and forth here from each of our teams.
Just a little bit to start us off. I've been warming up into it, but Fear still had maintained a massive lead for a majority of that game. And I think we see some of the direction as well that maybe was a bit lacking for CCG. Obviously, Kryra's first game with them here, so we'll see if that can maybe pick up in a game number 2 as well.
I mean, I'll give Xyu credit for hovering bot. I think that when CCG took that play around level 5, they really weren't expecting Xyu to be there. He was, though, and turned it. And then the guy who got the lead on his own, I will say Philip had a pretty solid performance early on in the top lane. But ABO also finding that solo kill. Got a second kill on the Shoji from a good roam from Winsome, who found a pocket and got Shoji to face check. And ABO did not let up from there, as he really pumped out the deeps on this Corki.
Yeah, and that will be the only time we get to see the Corki, and what a performance it was for this best of, at least. We're going to step away for a little break. We'll be back with game number 2. Welcome back, everyone, to NACL Summer 2024. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby. And what a game one to kick us up. I don't know if it was the cleanest. It was very dominant from one side for most of the time. Fear x Starforge come out with a 1-0 in our first best of 3.
Yeah, I think there were some good and bad things in that game. I think the last, mid to late game was kind of a roughie, but I do like the moments where XU was actually dropping camps. I think that it's really easy to fall into the trap where, hey, I'm playing AP jungler, I can finish my clear in 3:15. I need to ramp up and get my items where I'm really strong. But when XU, I feel like, dropped his topside camps and deprioritized Grubs to help bot, he was there on a really good timer, ended up turning around to play. Then he goes to the top side with the kill he got there, gets more out of the play with that Grub timer. They end up forcing him off. It was a bit sloppy of a skirmish, but still, I think the direction was there for Fear Starforge, especially in that early game. And yeah, I think that, and that was the lead that ended up running with it. And the one really solid fight they had in that bot river, I mean, that was picture perfect clean. So they can take some highs off that. Definitely some things to look at in terms of how they close that one out. They want to clean up. Yeah.
I also think to look over to CCG's side of things, obviously, beforehand, Chad and Trevor were extreme voices on the team. We saw a lot of direction in team fights based off of them. This time around, it was very much Trevor. And I want to see if maybe Cryer can gain a little bit more confidence in that side of things. But we are going to be getting into draft number 2. You see all those champions in the middle of your screen. It's full Omega Fearless, so none of those are available for either side. And as we get into it, Fear x Starforge are on the blue side as the Ziggs ban yet again. And then Italy ban from CCG on the red side. So copy-paste draft number 1 so far.
That's one thing that we have seen with Fearless, is that oftentimes the only way you change up bans if you swap sides. Given, all the champs that you have played in game 1 are now off the board. And so usually you're banning out the top tier champs you don't want to see first picked. It's even more appealing to ban them out in later games. But we will have best of 5s where that's not the case in game 4 or game 5. Game 4 going to be no bans second phase. Game 5 going to be no bans overall, which should be quite interesting. We did see it actually have an impact on OQs already. So
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well, as we see the continuation, it's the same style we get from them. So I want to ask the question then, for while we have a chance for CCG, are we going to look at a similar style where there were a lot of resources given over to Kryra with the brand in a lot of regards and not as facilitative to the rest of the team?
I'm down for that. For Kryra, I think that Kryra, again, is really good when he is able to eat camps and get a lead. I saw Kryra play really well in combines. And again, he's a player that, for me, if I had to pick one person that I felt like was snubbed from NACL this split, I would answer Kryra. That was my answer. I was really impressed with him in combines. So I am happy to see him in the league, even if the circumstances are really hard stepping in mid-split. But I'm down to give him resources, especially if we're going to have something like a first pick Sejuani. This is something where you can farm into it. It's a little bit risky. Sej has every and any option available to her in the early game. You can full clear. You can do 3 camp and invade. You can reverse clear. Whatever you want. You're Sejuani. You're fine. The flexibility this champion brings is great. So we'll see if Cryo wants to take a carry into it or something else.
You have to remember that Sejuani was banned away in the second phase of that first game. It is going to be the Maokai here. So there's still a little bit of flexibility with this pick, but if it is going to go towards Cryo, it is more that facilitative style.
I'm expecting this to be in Cryo's hands too, unless we see a Senna Maokai bot. We have seen some Maokai support sneak in, but you are very vulnerable in the waning phase. So not something I think that CCG wants to go with. But already for CCG, a little bit more control in the later stages showing. And curiously enough, that Tristana now being let through, that is Shochi's champion. And a lot of the answers to Trist that we've seen, no Ezreal, no Lucian, no Zeri, no Ziggs either. So a lot of the choices that you have now kind of dwindled for a Blaze Olive in the mid lane.
It's going to be the Kai'Sa lock-in for Fear and the Nautilus. So a very tried and true bot lane 2v2.
There's some comfort for Instinct, who... I feel like Instinct, again, a player has been just really solid. We know Instinct for his ability to play safe in the 5v5s, but it's been nice seeing him play this Kai'Sa and actually be good at picking when to go aggressive. Also a champion that I think Manui is actually pretty uniquely strong at. So a little bit of a deny too, as we do have that Alistar picked up. I do want to make note, you can play Trist Alistar into Kai'Sa plus Nautilus, but still expecting this to be in the hands of Shochi mid.
Yeah, I want to see the priority to mid. And I want to see Cryer play around Shochi. I think that mid-jungle duo coming to live, this one would be really nice.
I'd really consider banning Jace here. It's something that I think ABO's played really well. And I know it's not a magic damage champion, but with Kai'Sa, Sejuani not, honestly, you could go AD. Like, it doesn't feel great, but I don't think you're doomed. And I think that CCG kind of seeing that angle, they're going to take away that very comfort Gragas for Philip in the top side. And I would not be surprised they take away Jace now from ABO too.
And that's another position that we can maybe focus on a little bit more that we were really interested in coming into this one, because top lane maybe didn't necessarily pay out the dividends that we were looking for, at least on the side of CCG, but maybe we see an opportunity for CCG to play more around Crimson as well.
Honestly, I'm just really tired of seeing the Renekton-K'Sante matchup. I don't like Renekton wins.
I love
that
blind
matchup,
Renekton, man.
You know, you just win as Renekton. I really feel like you have other answers that are better than K'Sante, but you're just playing K'Sante to play K'Sante. So
K'Sante.
I was looking at the win rate for our league too. K'Sante is at like a 35-ish% win rate. It really hasn't been doing that hot, whereas Renekton actually got him up to 500, which to me tells me other answers are doing better into Renekton, like the Gragas, like the Ornn, like the Gnar. We've seen some of our players go with. So
yeah.
Wondering if we see a little bit of a switch in terms of that matchup moving forward. Because like you just get push as Renekton and you can survive. Like K'Sante is a little bit better in fights, but you're still Renekton, you know?
Yeah. Obviously, the Taliyah final ban by CCG, but a little bit of respect given over to Crimson with the Riven ban. We have seen him go with that one before here, and especially as a counter pick can be very strong. We'll see what CCG want to leave open for their counter pick here, though.
You know, I think it's pretty hard to go Kennen if you are Philip, just given you're into Alistar Maokai, but those two bans tell me that it could be a Kennen angle. If we want to kind of get out there. Okay, that said, it's going to be
Ooh, I like it.
I'm not expecting magic damage topside.
Yeah, no.
Jax would make some sense. Gragas being taken away, that is one of the better matchups that Crimson likes to play. I have seen Crimson default to Aatrox quite a bit, but I think it's pretty tough to play that into Sejuani Jax. And again, this is a matchup where you'd kind of like to have K'Sante in this world. So I think Fearless really impacting it. Like when I see Sejuani, I think the two top laners that instantly go up in prio to me are Jax and K'Sante, just because they have a way to get out of that chain CC. So, yeah, it's going to be the Gnar this game. I would have rather had the Gnar last game and K'Sante here. This Gnar is going to be very vulnerable to Jax plus Sejuani combos, and I would not be surprised to see Xu work his way up towards that top side to try and pressure.
One thing I want to highlight here that I think is important, it's not the Seraphine comfort for these two guys of Shochi and Manui, but it is some of their most played champions, some of their most dominant champions on the Tristana and the Aphelios, and I think in all regards, if these two guys are feeling comfortable, that is how CCG can find success. Yes, Kryra can facilitate towards them, but we have seen some slip-ups occasionally from these two guys who used to be Wonder Star carries for Fear, and I want to see them step up here in Game 2.
I mean, Shochi coming into the year was definitely someone that people were talking about potentially being next up in terms of mid laners, and it really feels like that's not the case for Shochi when we talk about him now, so chance for him to turn that around. His Tristana for me has always been fantastic. So I think that given the changes, not surprised to see him piloted again this game. And if CCG are able to kite out this Jax throughout the game, which I think they can do, it is a winnable team fight for them.
Well, we're getting into game number 2 of our first series of the day. Make sure you're spamming in chat who you got, FXS or CCG. And you got to remember, it was Fear X Starforge who took a dominant lead in game number 1 and never looked back, even though they did fight CCG a little bit too often and too much. But now we actually take a look at the early game here, and especially the grasp on the Blaze Olive Azir in mid lane too.
Yeah, gonna help him get through that laning phase. We did see that earlier in LCS today, pretty standard. I'm actually more surprised about, I guess not surprised, but I think the fleet on Instinct is very telling. Usually on Kai'Sa, you want to go PTA and try and blow people up with your passive and PTA procs. This is a lane where you are going to be behind as Kai'Sa, so he's going for some of that extra sustain to try and survive the laning phase against Aphelios. So that tells me even more that Xu will be working his way up top.
And again, with these two matchups, it's no longer about as much Xu and Kryra being the carries, but more so where they can deliver the gold and how active they can be. More so for Xu as well. Philip.
I expect to see Kryra go Leandri's at least. And even the Warmogs changes, Leandri's Warmogs actually feels pretty good on Maokai, because you aren't proccing that Warmogs by the time you complete it. So packing a little bit of damage there will be nice. And again, the CCG comp, it scales nicely. You have Triss Maokai. We've seen this be a bread and butter duo that I know you're especially familiar with over in LPL, Mazel, as they love their Triss Maokai, some of the teams over there.
It's so dirty. I mean, you just get to follow up from so far away. And that's why, like, the mid-jungle, especially for CCG this time around, is going to be very important. I love what Fear are doing on bot side, though. Keeping pressure on this 2v2 because Kai'Sa Nautilus, they are so deadly.
Yeah, and Alistar sucks level 1, so just able to walk up and hit the cow.
Just like that, huh?
No,
just
yeah,
like, you don't like cows? You don't like bulls?
I mean, it sucks level 1, man. You don't get to play the game as Alistar level 1, especially in a Nautilus lane. We already saw the Q miss from Trevor anyway, so that lane should bounce back. Probably will be around to hover them. But again, we see Sejuani working her way up towards the top side. So Crimson is going to be the one that has to be under siege. And honestly, this is a position that I think of everything that we've seen from Crimson early on with his gameplay, Mazel. I can give him the most credit with his ability to kind of play on his own at the top side. I've been especially impressed with his ability to play alone. But that said,
I love that you caster cursed him. Yeah, I love that you just caster cursed him.
I think he's fine.
We'll see. He's got the jump out here. If he can get the angle on it, gonna go ahead and burn the flash immediately. Is getting low. Has the minions there to help him, and those minions are a little OP. Angry monkeys, says XU.
I mean, he survives. It's a really expensive gank though, because that wave is poor. So Crimson, a little bit of a rookie mistake here, we'll say, with where he has this wave. I think XU really caught him off guard, going for the 3-camp top instead of a fuller clear to get to this top side. Now, I mean, the Avengers are here. Winsome just showed, has a control ward there. And this wave is frozen, so Crimson, it was a decent start to the lane for him, but he's going to be pretty far behind now. He will be forced to TP back with just a longsword that doesn't feel all too good.
And it's kind of cool, the first chess move being put on the board by XU here to force some presence around topside. You can see how many resources they were willing to push up there.
This is a good trap, though. I like this a lot from Cryer and Winsome.
They knew here to that Winsome was going to go down there. They have to follow up with Shochi. He just wants the resets here. He's going to go through. He gets locked down, though. Cryer going to flash over. First blood goes to him. He gets traded immediately back by Plays Olive now, though. Shochi going forward, and it looks like it's just the trade back and forth. But more importantly, CCG come up with first blood yet again.
Nice trap from CCG. I do want to credit Blaze Olive for the hover. I think walking bot with your support, that's some really good game sense coming out of ABO to be like, hey, we just showed support on top side. They could have gotten in here and taken control. That ends up being a 1-for-1 with Maokai getting the kill. So a little bit accelerated now. Echo's picked up for Kryra. And we should see some pretty healthy clears coming out now for Kryra off the back of that. Good hover from Kryra, too. That's really nice. That's really good.
Yeah, it is. Winsome is right back on the roam, though, because of how safe Instinct can play down there.
I don't know if they can do this. Like, Kryra's no flash either. I think Crimson is just dead.
Gonna try to stack up his Meganar bar, but that means Fear need to go in now. They're gonna get a TP out from Shochi. Maybe he can follow up, but that's already Crimson down. Nice Bramble Smash. They're gonna get one back onto Philip. That's big. Trevor, also the man with the horn, coming over here to make the play. XU's gonna go down too, and now double kill to Kryra. This is more like it for the entrance into the league here for him. And Winsome is left out to dry. They're going to bring Crimson over here. Maybe Kryra's the one that gets the kill in the end, though, as they lock him down. That present delivery from the bush. And Crimson, one more auto. Oh, you got to take him. They need to be able to chase this one down. Winsome,
he's dead.
He's giving a run for their money, man. Yakety sacks all over the place.
It's going to go to Trevor, which Winsome likes on us. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. We couldn't maybe give that one over to Kryra. I do want to give Kryra credit. That was a really good read on the top side. A good TP, too, from Shochi. If Kryra doesn't drop that ward in the Tribe Rush, I don't think they have it, like... They had a lot of time to think about how they were going to react to this play. The TP from Shochi was the move as that comes in. And then look at how Kryra plays this on the back half. He was trying, you know, he can't enter because he can't get focused down. But once they commit to the turret, cues them back to get the slow, roots them under the turret. And I think that's what really opened things up to turn it around for Shochi and Fear Starforge. It's the right idea, but definitely pushed a little bit too aggressively. And that TP from Shochi turning the play makes it a very good early game for CCG with their newest addition in Kryra set up for success.
And look at him now. AP Maokai. Re-1.
Yeah,
You're gonna see at least that first AP item going forward. And yeah, that Dark Seal is going to be huge. Now, Grubs is up. Fear, they're recollecting themselves. They're gone. Contesting for this first one.
Yeah, Crimson tried to go for the steal, but Shochi is coming back out of base into mid lane, and Crimson and Shochi are swapping back up the lane. So that's going to be first 3 Grubs going over to your Starforge for free. So good recovery from them off the top dive.
Now we gotta see the Dragon started up by CCG on the bottom side, trying to maybe have a little bit of safety up there. Trevor's not even over here, though. He's actually looking over on the top side of the map.
And they're making sure that Gnar doesn't get dove again. Crimson's mini and doesn't have flash still. So Trevor being called up to support Crimson in the top side will not be... actually might be necessary, as XU is making his way over. So, again, I don't know how CCG is communicating this, whether it's Crimson, Trevor, or Kryra, kind of reading out the plays, but they have read XU coming up here. Trevor, though, is still very hidden. Oh, boy.
He is.
I think he's
they
late
don't
to the
know.
play.
Crimson still trying to get the Mega Gnar up. Does have the jump. He's going to get blasted on Crimson. Oh, the double knockout from Trevor! He gets the massive play. Now Shochi has made his roam up top side, and they're about to deliver some more gold over as Philip is going down. 300 smackaroos to Shochi. And look at CCG capitalize on Fear's plays.
I really like the reads the CCG's had in this game. It feels like, again, like with the draft, it's a hard commit to play for this top side. And they've found XU at every turn, and XU continues to try and force, and to be fair, they have advantages. They had 2 levels up on Crimson, who was down Flash and down Mega. Like, that's a play you can make, but CCG, they know that too, that their responses to that are really strong. So good early game coming out from CCG to really deter the pressure that's been put onto Crimson. That said, this top matchup is still disaster. Shochi has cleaned up the last couple of waves, and Crimson is miles behind Philip. So I know the kills are going over to CCG, and this has been turned, but Jax will be a menace in the side lane later on. So I think it's been good responses from CCG, but because of how strong Fear Starforge are playing around these big stacked waves, and Crimson still getting denied, it's not like they haven't found a lead. As Philip just dinged 8, he's 2 levels up on Crimson.
And I think that's going to be massive to think about in the side lane,
and
how Fear can play around that as well. Because that's a kind of strategy that they can play through moving forward. And I think XU's going to have a lot of the go buttons for them, but they have a lot of follow-up as well. And that's something that maybe wasn't highlighted as much with Fear's composition is once they hit that go button, everybody can join that party.
You see Philip, I mean, he's able to trade pretty freely here. As Crimson, I mean, he does a nice job of proccing the Hyper. That's the best he can get. He's going to have Mega popped in case another dive is coming in. You can see XU actually making his way up. There's still a control ward in that brush, as Philip won't be able to clear this one out, so he will be spotted. And Kryra also hovering up here. So again, CCG, this has been a nice early game. It's been kind of a fun cat and mouse between both of our teams here, Lennon, around the top lane. And I don't know who's calling the hovers from CCG. If it's Crimson, it's very nice, but it's been good work coming out from CCG to make sure that their Gnar is at least protected and responded to when these dives do come in.
And that's the strength we've seen from Trevor on the roster. He does have a lot of direction with it. Now they're actually moving on to Blaze Olive. Satchel Charge going to be pop. Rocket Jump going to be ready to go. Now double knock up there onto Witz. A Buster Shot will get him to safety, though. Shochi unable to calculate the damage there. Manui has moved over to try to get the snipe. Nothing else going to come of it mid lane, but Summoner's up plenty.
Yeah, he had the damage, but the shield came back off cooldown for Winsome. So good bait is when someone was able to proc that. Does not go down. No resets for the Tristana. And the play will be survived on each side.
So close, but it is also a CCG have been pushing the tempo a lot, and I love to see, again, them flexing these comfort muscles for their players. And it really does feel that way. Like, Shochi has been back to his old self. It feels like constantly roaming, constantly finding back into these plays and getting resets on the Tristana. Love to see it. And Manui going to be farming himself up a storm. But now we also have to think about next machinations here, because the Rubageddon is on the table for Fear.
Some big ults down for each team, as there are no ults for either the mid or jungle of both of our teams. Fear Starforge, they are here first, and Kaisa will be here first too, as that's an aggressive TP coming in from Shochi. Trevor.
Just go for the play early, though. Shochi waiting in the bush. Philip going for him now, though. Trevor, a big old hunk of beef, but it's not going to be big enough. He goes down.
That's a good read from Fear Starforge. I think that with the Maokai ult down, it's really tough for CCG to fight at this point, because that has to be the engage, and then Alistar follows up the way we saw in mid. If that's not available, then that's a level 5 Alistar 11 minutes in, and he just gets yoinked in and gets roasted. So, well done by Fear Starforge. That is 6 grubs for them, making that Jax in the side lane even more threatening.
They're just going to try to collapse what they've gone to time and time again.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll see Kryra. Trevor here. Not level 6 yet, though, and neither is Winsome.
He's back. Back
He's
for more.
Back from the dead. actually going to find out the backer wins some here. It's a little bit of vision play being played around there, but I'm sure back's going to be completed to transition some of this power down towards bot side, as there's a potential second dragon for CCG or a stop of the stacking for Fear.
I like this actually from both of our teams. You're going to see Philip, instead of hitting that turret, he's actually going to base to sync up with his bot lane that was basing from top, so they're going to swap the lanes. I will say Philip has no TP, so Dragon, a chance that CCG can find a 5v4 if they want it, but this Gnar is so far behind, I got to expect that Crimson's going to want to base after this. So Pure Starforge, we're going to get tempo on this, just being first on the map. Skip the bot wave and get on the Dragon immediately.
There is a TP play for Crimson. No response from
he
Philip.
doesn't want
He's
it.
in top side. Don't know if he wants to go for it, but Dragon's already got it.
He just got out of Mega, and I don't think that there was a fight here. So Pure Starforge going to take both neutral objectives. Nice job from them. Some good map play. And I think CCG, this game for me is better for them as things go on, at least in the 5v5. Philip is going to destroy in the side lane, and that's the real concern. So I think the item point, though, for CCG is probably 2 items here. If they are able to get Trist, what looks to be the Kraken, into the second item, I think that's going to be better.
Oh, the play bot side. Double headbutt pull with the headbutt back as well. As nice little cover. Bramble smash rather back. Manui's going to claim a couple kills there, and at least CCG know how to be proactive. They're going to take plates as well, and they just continue to build this lead.
One of the reasons that the first game of the series was so sloppy on both sides that we just saw each team contest everything. You can see the value of not contesting. CCG not showing for that Dragon. They were able to sneak Alistar and Malachi into that bot rush where they get a really solid play. Taking down the bot lane of Fear Starforge and getting plates for Aphelios. So I think that each of our teams have kind of leveled up here in this game too. It's been good to see as Philip misses the flash.
Uh-oh,
good play from
chase
Crimson.
This one down. Yeah, I mean, he gets the boomerang, and there's the fight back from Philip. It's so close. The vision, he gets some as Crimson with his own solo.
Oh, we always talk about him channeling his twin brother Sniper's Riven, but Crimson, maybe channeling his older brother Viper's Gnar there. Beautifully played. I think Crimson's done a couple really nice things in this matchup. One, you can weave in auto attacks on the back half of Jack's Counter-Strike to help stack up the Hyper. There we saw him use the Hyper to actually get out of flash range from the Counter-Strike, to then follow up on Jax afterwards. And man, he's been put so far behind in this matchup against Philip. For him to find that kill on the Jax and get back in this game, he's almost matched on items. That's really big for Crimson. And for a rookie to put this far behind and find a way back into the game, that's not the kind of stuff we expect out of a player at his experience level, but Crimson continues to impress in his first year.
And I've been really impressed with the guy in and out of game. I think you look a lot to his brother Sniper in the league and a lot of the personality he brings. And Crimson has his own personality. I got to recently record an episode of Bot with him, which will be coming out soon, hopefully. And I very much just appreciate the mentality he brings, the positivity that him and his brothers bring to the game itself now. It has been nice, but he has to continue to find his way into this one because he's still down pretty heavily in that side lane. Philip is going to be having a lot of fun.
And right now going into Azir doesn't feel good either, but we do have Kryra potentially setting up for a play.
This is kind of bold from XU. He is literally surrounded on all sides.
They have lanes in, though, and they're going to get a turret. So I think the play might be on the Jax, as Philip's going to head for the hills, alt cast.
Got the Nature's Grasp there. Yeah, TP's are coming out. They're actually going to connect onto Philip. Manui finds the damage. There's Moonlight Vigil goes wide. There's the every combo from XU as well, trying to get Crimson. There's Philip still going down, though, in the end. Depth charge does go over on a Kryra. TP up in topside for CCG. Still means that FXS do lose out as Philip is no longer around.
And I set up from CCG. I was kind of with you on that one, then. And I think that Pure Starforge showing in all 3 lanes and hitting Rift Herald was a little bit greedy. And we end up seeing Philip get chased down because he wasn't synced up with his team. I will see if we can have anything else go Pure Starforge's way.
Scared.
ABO can do a lot here, and he stole it.
He's doing it. He's got it there. And now they just need to move in. Look at this. Out. Everyone's so scared. They're like fish in a barrel. Crimson didn't get the memo. They're going to chase him down. He wanted to survive, but that's a big kill. It does go over to win some, but they take the Rift Herald.
He hopped away from the dredge line, couldn't hop over the wall to get out, and CCG get trapped. And the Sand Soldiers just murder them as ABO on the turnaround here. Also, it looks like ABO might be going for the Frozen Heart second.
This is insanity.
That's kind of fun. I mean, there's no ults. There's no ults. We talked about how ult reliant they are. in terms of the fights, is ABO able to sneak in there? The poke
thought
continues.
They got it.
Yeah, they did not. Oh, big loss. Really nice play from Blaze Olive. And
who has been on a tear this series, by the way. Like, if you didn't recognize his Corki in game number 1, it's awesome to see him already keeping that momentum into a game number 2. Now Fear still back onto the map. There is a dragon in under 30 seconds. He's committing to the full tank Azir build too, as it's the Frozen Heart second. Quite good this game against 3 auto attackers. ADs.
Yeah, only Maokai doing magic damage, and of course Maokai going for that Warmog second, which we expected. So gonna get a lot of mileage out of that Frozen Heart. As this Azir build, the longer the fight goes for Fear Starforged, the better. And as long as they're able to zone and space off the Aphelios Triss, it's going to be quite doable. As this Azir build, you can really throw your weight around with this version of build. So we'll see if ABO is able to do it. Going to be a little bit of a different style of Azir than what we're used to, but if anyone's going to pull it off, expect it's going to be him.
Now they see the dragon being taken by Fear. It'll be a second one for them. Maybe I've been able to move control over to this bot side of the map. Gotta see if there's an answer from CCG on top side with the turret, but not going to be the case right now. And that's where we can take a little bit of time to figure out the next moves for CCG. You talked about their ult reliance there, but once they can get Shochi and Manui together in a big 5-on-5, that's where you find that strength. But it's all about the positioning in that. And a lot of the peel back is going to have to be there from Trevor, Kryra, and Crimson.
Yeah, Fear Starforged done a nice job of actually reclaiming the map here. As CCG, I mean, they had some good plays in this game. I actually really like some of the angles that Kryra's taken. I think that, you know, Kryra, for me, someone that I feel like is strong in terms of, like, what he brings to the map as a jungler. It really is something where, like, for being a new player, I do feel like he has this strength that's kind of unique. And I have a lot of a higher expectation out of him than I do for most people debuting, just given what I saw to the Combine. So it has been nice to see at least CCG in the second game find some positive plays. But yeah, this retake from Fear Starforged, like we're seeing these side lanes be really hard to deal with from CCG in both the Jax and Azir, and they're doing a nice job of playing around that right now.
The old core of Fear trying to fight back against their old organization, Shochi, Manui, Trevor. Not much fight to give right now. Still about 1,000 gold lead for Fear. They are still winning a bit on the side lane. They also have the Rift Herald play, I think, next to kind of take a look at. There's no outer towers, unfortunately, to play that around. But there is an outer tower on top side right now that FXS need to play around because the Blaze Olive has popped the Sun Disc. It's going to shove Shochi into it, but it doesn't matter. He's going to flash anyways, and you can't get through that wall. Now Exu here. He gets Shochi too. The Blaze Olive, he can't follow it, but Instinct can because he's got the killer instinct. He's moving forward to get him, and now Fear have pounced all over CCG. Kryra and Shochi are just gone.
The TP from Philip was sound. Again, they have these side waves shoved in so they don't lose anything in the back half.
Do Baron?
Manui was stuck mid, couldn't respond, and all the numbers go to Fear Starforged. That's a clean kill in the side lane. They turn it into the Baron.
That's literally a rally cry Baron buff on spawn for Fear X Starforged. What a play. What momentum. And now 4,000 gold up out of seemingly nowhere and hitting second item spikes.
I really like how Fear Starforged have kind of recovered and reclaimed this game, playing out the side lanes. I think that Heisa, uniquely, if you get mid-shove, your ability to respond to plays so good. And we saw there, it was just the ease of Fear Starforged finding a numbers advantage when they do have these lanes shoved in. Made it look very easy to take those kills and turn it into a Baron.
The fact that you have Baron buff and Rift Herald still available at the same time, like, oh my god, that's actually insane to me.
And 6 grubs. This Rift's gonna slap.
And 6, like, it's actually insane. We're about to just see the siege of a lifetime right now by Fear, and it's something that the veterancy is showing through. That play calling, decision making around those very contentious moments is showing through for a team of all ex-LCS experienced vets.
Yeah, I really think that when Fear Starforged are on, they're on. It's just, again, can they stay consistent enough to win as Kryra gets caught?
Man? I didn't know we were watching Fast and Furious.
That's
here.
A nice
Big
turn.
Moonlight Vigil, though, will turn it around for Manui on his signature. Aphelios here, but Aphelios isn't going to be enough for the Blaze Olive all by himself. He's going to push back Shochi there, and that's a big 4-kill pickup by CCG off of Manui.
Yeah, well, I was about to say is that we see these great moments from these guys, but we see other moments where it just goes out the window. Like, again, pushing with that second rift, they way overcommit. They try and take down Kryra, who did get off an ult, led to a 3-man Alistar ult, and a huge ult from Inui over the top to find a 4-for-1, which, again, given the gold lead, given the Baron, and given the Herald down to the play, you don't need to force that hard. You can play for other stuff. And 2 games in a row where Fear Starforge get punished on a Baron deploy in the side lane. So still seeing moments from this team where they aren't quite putting it all together because they aren't staying disciplined enough to find these games. I just don't know. Like, they go without getting a ward over the wall. They don't see Trevor. They don't need to force this. You're playing it down numbers into the enemy turret, and they turn it really well.
They were riding the dopamine, all right?
Yeah.
They had the Rift Arrow, they had the Bear, they had the 6 Grubs. It was like they were playing Swarm.
I mean, in a way, but I because of the experience this team has, like, I gotta hold them to a higher standard sometimes. And like, we've just seen laziness straight up from these guys on these Baron deploys. I don't like to see that. So, like, for as well as they played the last 5 minutes of the game, all that goes back out the window. And look at the map for CCG now. They're dropping this dragon. It will be soul point for Fear Starforge. We're gonna use it to try and get this top inner turret, which, given that they have 4 members, I think might fall. No? Okay.
And for Fear, it's also a situation where they are one of the only teams that is even close to contending against Dragonsteel in terms of the standings and trying to see what they can represent in a long run into the playoffs. So with only a couple games left for both these two teams after this series, it is one of those conversations that even in a developmental league, we need to see a pickup of at least mechanics from a team that's as experienced as Fear, from a team that expects so much of themselves. That's what I love about these guys, is they push themselves so hard to be the best in the league, and things haven't always gone their way, but they're always trying.
We like trying here in Challengers League. I'd like to maybe, I think it's just maybe trying less hard, you know, staying disciplined, not going for all the plays. We would like to see.
Abiding everything on sight that you see. You know?
Regardless, that was a nice take of the Dragon, and they prevent CCG from taking that top inner. They rotated a good amount of members. I do think CCG might have been able to force there, as Instinct and Sejuani were the 2 members stuck on the Dragon. Your Starforge actually had the other 3 in the lane. That means that they would have had a numbers advantage if they kind of held the jungle, but wasn't the case for CCG. They retreat, and Fear Starforge able to retake the map and should be fine off this deploy. So mostly recovered, and now you have that option for the Hextech Soul Point coming up, which, if secured, will be a massive advantage for Fear Starforge.
You have 3 items for Instinct now as well with the Nashers, and it's going to be very, very deadly. Again, they are so strong because they can follow up any of the engages that XU goes for or Winsome goes for. They have a lot of follow-through. And that's something that CCG are going to have to be very wary of. You do have the 3-item spike now, though, for Shochi on the Tristana, so going to have a little bit of strength in that regard, too.
All right. We have the 1-3-1 again up for Fear Starforge. They have both TPs up. You can see ABO paying a little bit more respect on the side lane for when he shows, trying to get some more info. As we do see Gnar on the bot side, and this is the play pattern where I think Fear Starforge just do have massive advantage. As CCG... Yeah, I mean, they're trying to take this Baron. Good patience there from Kryro, waiting on the saplings to be up to get some more info. He does have that 2 items, so Kryro actually going to be hitting pretty hard. And we're going to see...
He wants it. Good poke. Much tankiness there on the 2 items for XU, but still could be pretty tanky.
XU's no Warmogs, though. Like, this poke actually sticks against the Sejuani, so... I think given that, I like the focus from Kryra and CCG to at least take some of that health away. Because that will, after this wave, it should lead to at least a little bit more Baron control.
Ooh, that is a Rift Maker completed for a Blaze Olive, though. Those sustained fights can be so difficult to micromanage for CCG. But I do love they are trying to make the plays together. I think that is something in terms of direction that we wanted to see from CCG, especially since Kryra joining the roster. And at least they're able to try to make plays together. That Moonlight Vigil might be looking at a deja vu here if they can catch Fear.
Yeah, Fear, they got that top wave in a little bit, so they just abandoned it with the stack of format. You can see a Blaze Olive just 3k HP, able to step up and drop poke like that. Again, this tank is here pretty hard to deal with later on.
You gotta be careful of side lane right now, though, because Crimson's gonna have a lot of trouble to deal with a 3-item Phillip.
That's why he's grouping with Mega.
Frozen Heart.
There's no play because of the turret, so again, Fear Starforge, we've seen a couple slip-ups from them, but when they are able to slow down and recover, I feel like at times this team is just disciplined, you know, making sure that they're able to play out their game. Because we see them make good decisions. It's just sometimes they get a little bit head over the wheel and end up slipping up. So
a little excited, you know, a little excited. Let's see if they want to force the hand of CCG, though. Trevor already getting poked down on his way in.
They get one blue trinket out. They have all the health in the world to stick it if they want to. And at the moment,
Meganar is not up right now, so they need to try to stack that one up before. Nature's Grasp going to come across. Crimson almost halfway on the stack. Now they go in. Shochi trying to get the resets. Moonlight Vigil hits onto all 5. Now Trevor, 3-man knockoff. Shochi on the side. Look at the resets for the rocket jump. They get one. It's traded back and forth, though. Shochi wants more. Shochi gets pushed back. Look at the play from Blaze, but is it going to be enough? He gets Buster shot back. Crimson can't chase them down. CCG now man strong. They will turn over with all these carries to the Baron buff.
Kryra has Warmogs. Fierce Starforge have double TP. The Warmogs will not be stacking. I don't like this for CCG. I think
Killer
Fierce Starforge can get in.
Yeah, they have full entrance. Instinct can join. Philip going over. It's going to be taken by Kryra.
Oh.
Rally Cry Baron buff secured by CCG. And Fear, they're not feeling confident. Fear not going to move forward and a little fearful of CCG.
They have Hexel. Now Crimson and Shochi have both TPs up in the Baron Empowered Recall. So we're going to try and burn this. If they get Hextech Soul, I will take that trade for Baron. I don't think CCG can actually take enough of the map to make it worth it. They're going to commit their TP spot and try to contest this. Fierce Starforge is going to burn.
You're going to try to turn it now. You got to get down here. You got the blast cones. You got the Hex Soul, the gates at least to get over. Winsome going to catch Trevor here. You got to commit. You got to get in the pit, but it's too little, too late. A Blaze Olive secures the dragon, and now they're looking at a front to back while CCG just watches Trevor get carved into hamburgers over the wall.
Yeah, Trevor took the gate. It was a one-way trip, and Fierce Starforge, they dropped the Baron, but they do pick up Hextech Soul, which is very easy for their team to apply with Azir. So I'll take this. I think that Fierce Starforge are fine with the scaling they have in this game. They just have to make sure that they don't take a 5v5 where it's just a straight DPS battle. I think the one concern that you do have is that there is a lot of armor shred now for CCG, so if they are able to get through that front line of the fight, they might outdamage. But if you play a controlled fight where Azir is the one that's dictating the terrain, I think Fierce Starforge are going to be fine. And Hexel is going to make it really tough for CCG to actually jump into Fierce Starforge, given what you get off that soul. That AoE slow is so deadly.
Isn't it so fitting that we need a reserved style, respectful gameplay from Fear to really choke out CCG? We're on the other side. Some upstarts, some developing talent. They just need to go at it and they need to fight hard. I just feel like the story tells itself here. CCG with the Baron buff still up. They're going to siege on outer turret here. They will have Kryra on the corner. They have all ultis available.
And you can see, even with Baron Hexel, making it so much harder. I do want to give props to Manui. I know that his Aphelios is strong, but I think his guns have been pretty good this game. I thought that in the last fight around the Baron, we might see Fierce Starforge commit, but Manui was sitting on red-white, which is really tough to jump into. You will get machine gun down. Now, from green-white to blue-purple, I feel like those are two good selections to try and set up. Blue-purple a little bit weaker on the siege, but if Fierce Starforge, for whatever reason, decide to pull the trigger, that turn could be really big from Manui. So, again, those gun selection from Aphelios, always something to look out for. Some of that Manui as well.
Obviously, his most played champion by far in his career. Really nice to see him utilize the strengths there. Trevor looking to utilize his horns on the instinct. Gonna go for the play. Look for the headbutt back. Big. Moonlight Vigil and hits delivery service for CCG.
Instinct had members below him, but they did not have vision in the Raptor pit. Good turn from Trevor, who's going to continue.
Trevor committing himself here. Under turret, he's going to pop the Unbreakable Will, so he's tanking up a storm. Re-engage onto Crimson. Turret goes down. Really nice focus from CCG as a 5-man.
Again, 2 turrets, though, and such a big investment just to break this Hexel, and that's your Baron. So Baron now off CCG. If I'm Fierce Starforge, I will trade that for Hexel. I think their game gets so much easier now that they have access to this. One big thing, I'm curious if ABO actually goes for Nature's Tooth later on with this Azir build. I do think it's worth having that attack speed, because, again, I think the DPS from Fierce Starforge, if it's a straight-up 5v5, CCG at this point are going to win. The ability to try and control terrain, I think, from Fierce Starforge will be the big difference. So they have to play fights a little bit slower, once again. Make sure they're kiting out, as it does look to be at least going for some pen here for ABO, so no Nashor's Tooth. That's fine too, given all the magic resist that's on the side of CCG.
We also have fourth item now for Minui on the other side for Runans, and going to be very close for Shochi's as well. So big item spikes, getting very close to full build for the double marksman.
I like the Runans actually a lot from Minui. I feel like it's a little bit forgotten about on Aphelios, but real potential with the melee-heavy team of Fierce Starforge to proc some extra guns and do some work here if you are the Aphelios. So again, Fierce Starforge, I feel like they had a ton of control over this game. They had Jack's ability... was creating space in the side lane, and I still feel like Jax would be a big difference maker in this one, but kind of running out of steam.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at, a late game Tristana, late game Aphelios, and then we have Maokai and Alistar to control this front line. That's a lot of space for these two really big carry marksmen to make sure they're putting down the damage.
And it feels like the first time we're seeing actual gold lead for CCG as well. Trevor pops the Unbreakable there. Okay. Thinking maybe go for the re-engage in the end, but not going to pull it. Now that will be a decent cooldown down.
Again,
we'll
though,
have the cooldown
that's
pretty
Hexal.
quick.
Like, they're autoing the wave, and they get Unbreakable out. I know it didn't connect, but just threatening that dredge line, that was opened up because of this Hexal that Fierce Starforge has. So I think it's really important they were able to pick that up. And it makes what was a rather good Baron play from CCG null just because they did drop that soul.
Lose a tier 2 in mid lane, so a lot more defensive structures down. As Zafir will be looking at an Elder Dragon in about a minute.
All right.
It's gonna be CCG needing to fight for that one.
We're going to get something out of the way real quick, Lennon. Elder greater than Baron, okay? Not all of our teams are signed up for this.
That down.
I saw it today. I don't want to see it again. We're prioritizing the Elder over the Baron.
Elder
all right?
better than Baron.
Our
Elder
youngins?
better than Baron. Chat, tell it with us. Elder better than Baron.
Our youngins are going to get this right over LCS today. That said, response first. Trevor, flash burn. Doesn't have access to that ultimate yet, so did need the flash out of the dredge line. That's a good flash from Trevor. Have that ult coming back, and CCG trying to at least threaten the Baron a little bit. That is the side of the map they control. But with Elder spawning in 30 seconds, the next wave, Elder is going to become the priority. I'm wondering if CCG pull the trigger on Baron to draw Fierce Starforge away from Elder. Crimson does have ult pops, and it's red-white from Minui. They can threaten DPS on this quickly, but Philip's not spotted until now. He's got a nice aim. Shochi jumps.
They got it. They're in there. They just have to follow up. They don't have anybody following, but it's going to be XU. The previous LGX experience coming in clutch, and now CCG. They're worse for wear. They need Shochi to step up when the moment is nigh. They need him to get the reset, but it's not enough. And from the brink, XU brings back fear straight to CCG.
Shochi jumped in to start the play into the pit, and that's what enabled Philip to get in and actually find this Tristana. XU landing the steal too. It was a burn from CCG, and the turn goes in favor of Fierce Starforge. Look again. Watch this. Shochi. He jumps in. He doesn't have rocket jump. Philip sees this. He's like, all right, I'm sending it. Stuns up each marksman, and that is what enables XU to just flash in, finds the combo. Crimson goes down trying to hold off everyone else, and the marksmen weren't able to DPS. And when they were hitting this Jax who had ult and Counter-Strike running. So the opener from Philip that he set up was so big for Fierce Starforge.
What a play. And honestly, that one's going to feel real good for XU. Meanwhile, we get back to it, and all of a sudden you hear a scream, and it sounds like a dragon because Fear have taken Elder Dragon away, and now everything falling into their hands. They're going to TP in the side lane. They still have Baron buff. They still have Elder. They have Hexal, and now it's looking like a nail in the coffin for CCG.
CCG. They made a lot of decent decisions in this game. In the end, though, I think Fierce Starforge, their commitment to the 1-3-1, finding some numbers advantages, and then ending with a Baron foot going their way, that's going to hurt. As Elder Dragon and Baron up, and now the Hextech Soul plus Elder. It's so tough to retreat and get away from this. There's just no chance for CCG to hold.
There's nothing you can do. And again, we set this up for Fear. The veterancy, that experience, it needs to be on display here. One of the only teams that's in even possible contention with Dragonsteel here. They're going to go for one last dive. Look at it go. And there's 5 dragons on Fear, and it ain't Dragonsteel here because it's going to be a 2-0 for Fear X Starforge, leaning on their veterancy to smash CCG.
I mean, that was a heck of a game in the end. It was really back and forth. Lennon? I gotta say, I feel like ABO was the big difference maker at the end of this series. Look at that damage. I did not realize Azir was putting out that much damage in this game.
Look at that gold grab.
We saw him, that Rift Herald fight where he stole it and then was massive in that one. It felt like every fight that ABO was in was pretty solid for Fierce Starforge in both games for this series. But man, still, I want to see Fierce Starforge clean it up. I feel like some of the mistakes they're making are still really, amateur for a team that does have a lot of experience. And it really does feel like a team that just needs to be more disciplined from start to finish. Because if they do so, they do have the ability to compete with anyone in this league.
And they definitely did here. I like that Corki performance from Blaze Olive might have been one of the best of our splits. Like he absolutely took advantage of a ton of avenues forward. And I think he gets another one here as a really big day for Blaze.
And 1.2k damage per minute is pretty big on this Tristana, and using it to neutralize Shochi. I think it was a really good game for the tank build. That game, I feel like ABO is really scaling into this split as well. I know that he was coming off of last split, not competing, ends up coming back and continues to play better and better. As I mean, Fierce Starforge, it really feels like they're just a couple macro decisions away from being a team that we're really talking about being top of the table. But it still is that story of like, hey, they have to overcome themselves a bit, which is tough. And I will say, on the flip side, I did want to shout out Kryra and CCG. I know it's tough to come in on short notice. I thought Kryra actually put together a pretty decent game there. CCG played good defense around the top side. There's a lot of focus put on Crimson. He was able to turn it around, get a solo kill. We saw CCG make some good team plays on the overload, punish the mistakes from Fierce Starforge, but it still felt like Fierce Starforge had control for the majority of that series.
Yeah, want to see Direction be maybe a little bit of a namesake for CCG moving forward. We are going to move forward, though, into a break. And then on the other side, we have our Rally Cry post-game interview, so don't you dare miss it.
Hello and welcome back. I'm joined by the mid laner of Fierce Starforge in Blaze Olive. Hey man, congrats on the 2-0. You got player of the game for both games. You had a great series. We were talking a little bit beforehand. Teammates weren't exactly a believer in the Tank Azir at the start. What kind of made you opt for the Tank Azir in this game, feeling like it was strong?
Yeah, I think the Tank Azir has been popping up more commonly now. I think against Trist, a champ that really relies on being able to kill you really quickly, the Tank Azir is just a natural counter, makes you really safe on side lanes. It was a bit low on the damage side, but I think once I built Void Staff, it really started kicking in that I was essentially unkillable and I could kill their team really fast. I was untouched every single team fight, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be seen more and more commonly.
Yeah, I mean, if the teammates weren't believing, I'd show them a replay of the Rift Herald fight too, trapping in the pit maybe before you got the Void Staff. Was quite good. It was good to see you guys. Honestly, it feels like the story so far for Fear of Starforge. You guys are a roster that has some experience, some people coming back in the Challengers League that we've seen on the LCS stage before, along with some guys that getting back into it, yourself being one of them. Feels like you guys are putting together really good games and have a couple mistakes where you just trip up. This series was a couple of the Baron deploys. What's it been like, as a team where it feels like, to me, you guys can compete with anyone in the league, but sometimes get beat by yourself? What has been going on behind the scenes to help you guys work on that? Maybe patch up some of those mistakes so that you can have those strong games from start to finish.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evident from the fact that from how we play on stage that our scrims haven't been as optimal as we'd like. And honestly, it's not even our fault. We just have been really unlucky with scrims and having people cancel and delays and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's been kind of fighting us a little bit. But I definitely agree. I feel like on our best days, we can compete with anyone in this league. And I think for shaping up our future mistakes, definitely getting a more consistent scrim schedule is going to help, where we're not having cancels and delays all the time or just really troll scrim blocks. And I think what also is going to help is just more time together. I think over the weeks that we've been together, we've been getting better each week. And it's really evident from how we've been playing recently that all of us are really strong individually, and we don't need to go over all the nitty-gritty details that a lot of rookies might have to do, that you might have to get them up to speed for. So it's been quite nice, actually, not having to do a lot of the basic stuff for macro, and we can focus on some of the more complicated concepts. We definitely messed up our Baron deploys this series, so maybe that's something we'll look into next time.
Yeah, I could tell, though, you guys were put in those positions because of really good decisions early on, especially manipulating TPs, I think, to find numbers advantages. Some good stuff from you guys in that series. Looking forward, though, you guys moved to 5-2 in this league. You have a great chance to prove you can compete with anyone with TLC and Dragonsteel are top dogs to wrap up the schedule. What do you feel like your chances are against them? And, what are you looking forward to as you wrap up the regular season and start to move into playoffs?
Definitely feel like if we have a good day, on a good day, we can beat anyone. They're both really tough opponents. I think TLC's strength isn't represented in their scoreline. I think they've dropped a lot of games that they shouldn't have dropped. But I'm really excited playing against Roamer. I think he's really, really talented mechanically and in lane. And especially his form at the beginning of the split when I was playing him a bit more. He was really doing crazy things. So I'm excited to show up on stage and prove that I've got what it takes. And then Dragonsteel is still undefeated. I hope they stay undefeated for when we fight them. I think it's very unlikely that they don't get first because they're 7-0. But I hope that we can beat them. We can be the ones to end their streak, not get them the perfect split. That would be really satisfying. And they don't. It's kind of weird. We scrimmed them recently, and it didn't go as well as I would have hoped. So they're also a very strong team. I think we definitely saved the two strongest teams for last for our schedule, so that's helpful. We get the most practice in and show our stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, their early games have been blistering, but as you guys said, you guys can compete with anyone on any given day. I'd have to agree. ABO, before we say goodbye to you, I just want to give you the floor. Any thank yous or shout-outs?
Definitely thank you to Fear, all my teammates, coaching staff. Thank you so much. Thank you for the fans for supporting me on this journey. I really appreciate it. My return back to pro play. It's going pretty well so far. I'm happy with that. And hopefully coming with a big split dub overall.
All right, well, I like the sound of that. Best of luck on the rest of your split, and congrats on the 2 players of the games today. You played fantastic. Guys, after the break, we have more League of Legends action. We'll be right back with Mazzella for FlyQuest NZXT versus Supernova.
Welcome back, everyone, to NACL Summer 2024. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby, and we're getting into our second series of the day. I couldn't be more excited. It is going to be Supernova versus FlyQuest Challengers in ZXT. And this one has a lot of friendships, but also a lot of stakes on the line here for positioning in our latter half of the split.
Yeah, it's funny. We just talked to Ablaze. Olive had a great series on Fear Starforge, thinking that he has the two strongest teams left for last in TLC and Dragonsteel. I'd say that FlyQuest, NZXT, and Supernova also kind of posturing to be in that conversation, as right now, both these teams sitting in the middle of the pack for our league. A good chance to take a quality win against the other today.
And you see the possibilities of all the movement, especially since they're both right there, smack in the middle at 3 and 2. Obviously pretty far breadth away from the 9th place position, but it's more so about seeding moving forward as well.
Yeah, of course, head-to-head can matter. Game scores are tiebreaker, but honestly, a matchup I'm looking forward to going into today as we take a look at the FlyQuest roster. Of course, 4 out of 5 of these guys champions last split. Only change would be Bradley in the mid lane. And funnily enough, Supernova, of course, they have 2 changes with Toasty and Lens from last split. Bradley and Toasty shared a lot of tryouts together in the offseason. I know that Toasty signed with Supernova before Bradley went to FlyQuest, but these guys were competing against each other. There were 2 of the mid-lane players that a lot of teams were actually looking to land in the offseason. I know Toasty feels pretty happy with his role in Supernova, and this team seems to be Mazel really picking up in the back half of the split.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't really get a chance to talk about the first roster you saw there that much there, FlyQuest, but I think this Supernova roster has a lot of confidence behind them. We talked to Kenvi last time around, obviously going up against Shaden themselves. Old friends, old rubies, but I think this jungle matchup is going to have a lot to say in terms of the tempo of this best of 3 and especially the AP junglers that we're going to see. But there have been some wrinkles with especially Kenvi picking up some newer age champions and the more supportive junglers as well. But here we go with FlyQuest Challengers on the blue side. I promise you there's not all those fearless bans there in the middle of your screen. And Supernova on the red side. They immediately ban out the Ashe. We also have the TF ban there by Supernova. So trying to target up this top lane matchup where Surdy has been very confident in his own TF.
Yeah, and if we're going to go into some deep history here, guys, if you guys are longtime enjoyers of NACL, I want to take you back to 2021, where we had Surdy and Faisal being the 2 players that were in the EG system for top lane. Also, funnily enough, we had Toasty on Wildcard Dev and Bradley on Wildcard Main, both in the mid lane. So, we're really digging deep. Also, back then, Diamond was actually on FlyQuest, which is quite funny. So, yeah, some history between these guys, but early on, a lot of marksmen being taken off the table, and Supernova, that TF ban, we pretty much see be a mainstay against Surdy. A lot of people not wanting to deal with him playing that range champion up in the top lane.
Said to me himself, thinks he's the best TF in the West. It is, though, another pick that we've seen completely blindable in the Renekton.
Okay, Nidalee instantly going to be denied here by Supernova. And curious what ends up being the pickup for Faisal. Can't wait. We'll have that Jax and Gragas available along with the Cassante if he wants to counter it. But that strong Renekton pick, I'm not surprised it's just be a Sejuani slam from Shaden. So really looking to push forward as all AD locked in for the top side. I'm curious now, do we see Sajed go for an AD pick as well? Because there's a chance that we're low magic damage.
Yeah.
If I'm Supernova, I'm looking to take away Kai'Sa. I know it hasn't been Sajed's most successful champion, at least for FlyQuest. They've dropped some games on it, but that is a champ where you can bring some magic damage to the table.
Again, and I appreciate a little bit of that at least. But right now, I mean, we're looking at solo lane dominance and a little bit of in between for the jungle. FlyQuest Challengers have that in spades, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a place that we've wanted to put a lot of focus on for FlyQuest to have that dominance in the top trio. Going to have the tools to do so as we go into the second phase bans. It is primarily focused on these supports.
Yeah, no surprise seeing that Leona taken away from Diamond. I think Diamond's been quite good. And something I actually feel like is really unique coming into this, I want to give a lot of credit to how these junglers and supports play with each other. I think Shaden and Chime are the strongest jungle support duo that we have in terms of helping out the lanes. Like when Chime does roam top to help Surdy, oftentimes we'll see Shaden cover the lane that needs to be covered after that and vice versa. Whereas for Supernova, Envy and Diamond, their ability to play through and around Toasty mid, I feel like it's been a real big game changer for Supernova this split. Supporting him on a lot of these marksman picks where Toasty quite good at picking up these marksmen, which has been a pleasant surprise for a lot of us in the second split. You've seen him compete at this level.
That's what I was going to say, is it's nice to not... he had some of the biggest brain flanks in some of the combines in the offseason, but it's nice to see him take those upfront fighters here as well into the split itself. A little bit of personal growth in a developmental league. We love that. Now, it is the Misfortune as the final ban by FlyQuest, joined by the Rakan by Supernova, taking away some of the peelability there that Chime's definitely going to be looking for, but we have to see what those engage potentials and the ADC matchup is going to look like in the bot 2v2.
I feel like that MF pick was a little bit of a giveaway that FlyQuest actually wanted to play the Jinx themselves and try and look for resets against what would be a squishier team. So Jinx going to be taken by Supernova. You do have Nautilus as an option for support to protect it, along with Tom Kench and Thresh. But importantly enough, we did see the focus be on the supports, taking them away from Chime and not at the ADs. So that Kai'Sa, again, where I'm like, hey, you can get a little bit of magic damage. As even if you go for that AD build as Kai'Sa, you still do like 30-40% magic damage in your kit. It is going to help FlyC kind of overcome that, because even though they don't have someone that's going to be a pure magic damage carry, I think in their team comp right now, they do have enough magic damage to actually threaten in this game, where Faisal will have to at least pick up an MR item.
I obviously really like the Nautilus Kai'Sa combo we saw at last series as well, but I'm definitely maybe treated a little bit often to the Kai'Sas, but when you give some of the better ADCs in any league the decision-making power to reposition in a late-game team fight, I think it's huge, and I think that's something we also talked about coming into this one, is Sajed and Lens definitely fighting to be the best ADC behind Tomo so far, who has been one of the best in our league.
Yeah, both of these guys were on our all-pro list last split.
Yeah.
With being under Scary Jerry, who I think is still playing very well this split as well with the top dogs Dragonsteel. But these are two of the stronger marksmen we've seen. We saw Lens go from the Fear roster to the Supernova roster with Toasty, with those guys believing they have a stronger team here. Of course, that was before the Fear Starforge roster was what it was, and it's pretty banging. We've seen them play damn well, but these were guys that were like in the offseason, people were looking at them like, wow, they're better than what we thought going into spring, which big props to them on that. And then Sajed, I mean, he was a big story for us in spring with his growth as a rookie in the league. Another bet at marksman that FlyQuest have taken that really has seen the paid off. Definitely excited to see these two go head-to-head and see who can come out on top.
Well, we're getting into game one of our second best of three of the day. Make sure you're spamming in chat who you got. Fly C for FlyQuest, Challengers NZXT, or SN for Supernova. And I love it. We got a little bit of five-man stacking from mid here. We'll take a look at those ruins, see if there's anything spicy.
Everything's pretty standard here, as we there's no Fauna Life on Chime, which I'm always a little bit bummed about. I think Fauna Life support's a little bit OP. Of course, Nautilus, you can always block the shield dash. As Surdy in this matchup, someone that I'm really looking out for. I think, I said earlier in the first series, I think Renekton gets the best of this Cassante matchup. I don't love the handshake of Cassante and Renekton. I feel like you're just asking to lose slowly. And Surdy is someone where everyone at this point knows about Surdy's achievements in solo queue. And we've seen Surdy have some really strong games in Challengers League, but we haven't seen him be as good this split as he was in prior splits. And some of the leads he's gotten, he hasn't been able to convert into wins. At this point, he's a player where I feel like it's safe to say there's just a higher expectation on him. And Surdy doesn't feel like he's meeting that. So a good chance for him to take down another former EG member in Faisal. They were in the same building at the same time. And really try and step up and prove that, you know, he's not only the best top laner in this league, but one of the best players in this league to be argued to be next up, which I haven't really seen that from him as much this year.
And I think the fact of the matter is, like, solo queue is much different from 5-on-5s as well. And I think it was a problem in the past, especially when you look towards Team Liquid first as well, when Surdy was finding a ton of advantages, but never able to close games out. And it's trying to transition these advantages into a win. The top trio here, though, I think is still going to be in extreme importance. And we do see a bit of mirrored clears from both junglers.
That TL first team is a little bit weaker than the team he's got now. Well, I think we can say that.
To be fair, though, he was getting like 10 kills a game and then couldn't finish the game out.
I mean, to be fair, it's also something that he's personally recognized. Like, he got up 600 LP on everyone else in the ladder, and he's like, all right, time to stop playing the ranged champs. I got to pick up the Renekton Cassante a little bit more for comp, and you see him playing that matchup now, so we'll see what Surdy can do.
I'm excited to see the resurgence here as well. Also, a fact of the matter of looking at the length of the season and seeing that we only have 3 series left for both these two teams. So trying to pick it up before the playoffs and make it through that middle of the pack there. Now we see a huge wave crash on bot side by Supernova as they are trying to get Diamond out on the map. We said super important for him and Kenvi to link up.
And look at that. Diamond's already hovering mid for Toasty as we have the jump in.
Oh, he gets him. Gets the reset there, but not going to follow him under turret. The Ignite was burned.
I feel like if you want to make that play, we could have had Diamond start with the flash getting burned. And that way Toasty doesn't have to flash as well. Because that's 2 flashes for 1, and Bradley's not really going to be forced out of this lane. Now with the wave at least being bounced, you can see Chimes now coming up. Shaden also on the hover. There's really no more play here for Supernova. So Bradley survives the first timer. I'd argue being up from that as Toasty continue to push the lane and get it in. But Bradley only losing his flash. Yes, that's something that can be punished later on, but at least he took 2 flashes with him.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll take that, and that's definitely something that can be revisited on the other side. We do see, in the end, a stop of backs by Kenvi to go back out towards this bottom side. Was thinking about it, depending on the wave state down here. But it looks like both junglers will end up backing a little bit more of an aggressive back by Shaden there in the end. But these two guys are going to start being a lot more proactive, it feels like, especially when Shaden gets to that level 6 mark. But Kenvi himself definitely needs to find leads on this Nidalee League.
Although, I don't really feel like Kenvi has lanes to play towards this game. Because Renekton's going to be up on Cassante. And Cassante has, like, some CC to help out, but it's a little bit tricky to combo with Nidalee. That said, we might see it here as Kenvi has skipped over the Raptor camp, which is warded by Surdy. Well played. You can see playing with full info here. No. That said, yeah, he's going to get this wave in fine. He'll be A-okay. As I don't really know where Kenvi goes, so I feel like Kenvi's just more so here to buff up the Triss Jinx later on. That will be these massive late game carries if you can get him there.
Yeah, spotted out going down towards bot side, so being able to play around that vision or FlyQuest can be big. See what the priority leans towards. It looks like actually Chime moving out for a little bit between division. Now we look topside. Surdy took an extra tower shot. Not going to get the knockback though from Faisal.
And he got the ghost out of it, so that's okay. In the end, as we do see Toasty going for a little bit of a War of Attrition build. I'm expecting the Vamp Scepter into the weighted steel caps in the mid lane. As we're going to see Kenvi at least fish for a spear. Let's see if we can hide it in the wall. But Bradley, going to be easily able to step out of that one.
Not today, Kenvi. Not today. Still been a really nice move from Kenvi to try to get down towards this bot side. Now Diamond going for the crash down, going for Shattering Strikes. There's the traps underneath as well. The spear going to be blocked by Sajed, but Chime still going to get the claws to the back, and it's first blood going over to Diamond. Now we have the counterplay on the top side. Surdy gets the stun CC, and this combo is lethal. Surdy going to get the spin to win.
Nice play from Shaden off the grub timer too. That said, I think Supernova is trading up even bigger bot side. Sajed will be forced off this wave completely. I do want to say that Chime died with Dredgeline in animation to try and get Kenvi. So that was nearly a trade back for the FlyQuest NZXT bot lane, but not going to be the case.
3v2. You got to remember, this is Kai'Sa Nautilus. Very strong, but it all depends on Chime hitting something to get it going.
This is great from
Rubs
Supernova.
Started on the other side.
They have to. I mean, it's a play of splitting the map, and the fact that you were able to deny pretty much 2.5 waves and get 2 plates on the lens, I would trade that for 6 grubs any day of the week if I'm Supernova. So I think the direction from this team, this game, is the play they made. The one bummer is that Nidalee falls behind a little bit off the clear, but overall, getting resources in the Jinx, always going to feel good if you are Supernova.
Exactly that, and we set up Lens as a carry that wants to prove himself here as well. Obviously, a lot of people know for his Kalista, but being able to have a little bit more consistency on other champions has been really nice growth from him. As we see him caught out, I might have just cast a curse him, and that plasma stack's going to seal the deal. Sajed gets the kill back.
Didn't burn the flash or the clan. Sajed with no base, able to find the not Kai'Sa passive stacks to take down that Jinx. And that's a bit of an oops there from Lens, who he is able to base.
I'll give out an official apology. I'll write a letter. I'll sign it. I'll do whatever. I'm sorry, Lens. I apologize.
Oh, that hurts though. That is the Grub's play pretty much neutralized for Super.
Yeah. That's really rough because then you lose all that pressure you had on bot side as well. I do want to take a look back, though, towards these junglers, two guys who know each other very well. Obviously, LCS experience as well. Love to hear that, but it's also been about the growth back into NACL that has been maybe a bit trying in some regards, but especially talking to Kenvi, been very confident that he knows how he wants to play moving forward, and it centers a lot around him having confidence and having a leading voice for Supernova, and him and Diamond have combined very well in that regard.
Yeah, especially playing around mid and interacting with Toasty. It has been a good look for Supernova. I will say, though, on the flip side, I think Shaden for me is, if I had to pick my most valuable prospect today, it's like Shaden or Yuji for me, again, the split. And I think I was the only person on the team that had Shaden on the ballot last split. Shaden's been really good this split. And I think that we've really seen him, take the learnings of last split and be able to play with his laners as well as he did, but then also with more carries back in the meta, we are seeing the hands that got rank 1, rank 2, and Shaden being that smart jungler that is able to funnel himself and always has been able to do so. So it is something where I like this jungle match because I feel like both players have scaled in a way, but I really feel like Shaden's having the much better split so far, and I want to see if he's able to do that against good competition in Kenvi today.
Exactly. Two guys know each other very well, former roommates, but now Shaden's looking at mid lane play while Kenvi is starting up the dragon. See if FlyQuest want to move down for this one. They don't have move from their bot lane. I think Supernova will take the first dragon of the game here. Shaden going to be pushed out of it.
And still decent harass on the Toasty as no dragon option.
We want to play
on
has no real way out. That's depth charge used. They're going to get the flash double knockup cleanse immediately. And now Shaden following that big maggot sword. But look at it, Sajed! He did exactly what we wanted him to. He's going to flash away, though, and they find the fight onto Diamond. Spear not going to connect. Kenvi cannot do damage here. And now Supernova have been rebuffed. Big Spear connects, though. And there's that 20-foot leap from the Cougar. They're fighting tooth and nail, but it's now FlyQuest going under turret to clean house for a double kill for Bradley.
Really good take from Sajed on the killer instinct. Hold on, Lens has ult. Might fish. Yeah.
Looking for it, and he's gone fishing and pulled up a bass.
All right, well, good trade back. That fight, though, for me, the big difference was Sajed going over the top. I think Chime's engage was solid. It got so much out of Kenvi early on. It put Supernova on the back foot. But the re-engage from Sajed enabled the rest of FlyQuest to push that fight forward, where they found the win at the end.
Now FlyQuest with a solid advantage, but Supernova not going to be ones waiting around, as there is the next spawn of Grubs coming up. Would be Grub again for FlyQuest. Supernova do not want to give that one over.
Ults aren't great for FlyQuest right now, as there's no Killer Instinct, Depth Charge, or Glacial Prison. So if Supernova does this on spawn, I think it's theirs.
Give that one away. Don't give up too much, and that's where we can kind of look forward as well with the damage style compositions. Kenvi going to have trouble in the later game against the tankier targets. Right now going to be feeling perfectly fine, but they didn't do it, and now we might have to see them use some of that force here to fight.
Depth Charge up short with TP coming in.
They immediately just pull the trigger onto Kenvi. Kenvi's all by himself now. Faisal is just watching as the Cougar gets turned into a pelt. Bradley, the man that's been pushing himself to have better performances, is now on a killing spree as FlyQuest get ready to issue Grub again.
Good take from Shaden and Surdy. Just understanding that I feel like the window for Supernova was the last wave to play that. Kenvi kind of kited it out and tried to interact with mid. Not decisive enough to at least take 1 or 2 Grubs away. Ends up opening up the window where the Renekton and Sejuani do get all 6, the dream scenario. And also props to Surdy, who is ahead in this matchup, did have Black Cleaver for that fight, and made a big impact.
Again, there's a reason why this guy's been lauded, the reason why we've asked him to be in LCS, the reason why him and Shaden should have been in LCS as well. And these two guys having some monster performances. There's also a reason why they are champions from this last split, so you can continue that. As Surdy on the Renekton going to have a lot of strength here on the Black Cleaver spike.
I actually talked to Chime about that a little bit, because for me, FlyQuest still are some of the top dogs, as Faisal is able to sneak out of the Glacial Prison. But we haven't seen them putting that up in the score lines. I was like, hey, have you guys beat yourself or no? And Chime's like, hey, we feel like the league's upgraded, but overall as a team, we aren't being very respectful. I know that's something that Surdy was talking about with me. One of the VOD reviews, he popped on it, and he's like, yeah, I'm kind of playing this to just try and min-max everything I can. And I have to balance out how disrespectful I am. Because in some matchups, he's like, hey, they're disrespecting me. and I'm respecting that, so I can play it. Then other times around, we've seen Surdy like die at some really bad timers, especially 2 weeks ago, where I feel like he had a really off week. So I think that for FlyQuest, I still have this team like ranked very highly in Challengers League, and I think that when this team is at their best, they are the team to beat. But we really haven't seen that from them consistently this split, which has made for a much more interesting league, Mazel.
And that's why I love to put a little bit of focus on Bradley as well. I know we're maybe harping on FlyQuest a little bit more, but he's had some really bad catches in the side lanes a lot, and I know he's talked about it a lot himself, but it's been about positioning, about map play now as not a top laner, going back to his home role in mid lane, and now he's sitting at 3-0 on the Jace. First item, going to be getting to second, and he's going to have a lot of the damage profile for FlyQuest. I think Supernova are going to have to be wary of how much poke is going to be coming their way while they throw out theirs.
Yeah, they have some ways to sustain it between lifesteal coming in for Toasty, eventually Lens, and then the Kenby heals too. But Bradley at this point of the game, before those really come online, he's very oppressive. So I want to see if FlyQuest can really push these two solo lanes further up. And that was the identity of FlyQuest in spring with Quad and Surdy. They had two strongest solo laners for both top and mid, and really used that to beat the entire league and end up taking home the trophy. But between Bradley and Surdy making some slip-ups in the side lanes, we haven't seen that be the consistent win con for FlyQuest this time around. But a good chance with this draft and the strength they have in solo lanes at the moment to really return to form and make sure they can push the leads right now, which they need to do in this draft.
Just got double Kraken Slayers completed for Supernova. There is a dragon spawning out on the Rift. Supernova would be their second of the game to start stacking that one up if they can get some saving grace or insurance policies for the later part of the game.
Yeah, they ain't getting
There
this.
are going to be TPs available if this does turn into a fight. Looks like it might not.
You don't want the fight. I think Renekton's like too strong right now, and if he joins the fight, it's quite bad, as we're going to have a scouting
Sneak
Super
around.
Mega Death Rocket. Yeah.
Seems too good.
Blocked by Shaden. Easy peasy, and because of that...
The big Poro butt, okay?
You know, if it shook the wrong way, maybe that spear sneaks on through, but not the case. Instead, Kenby's going to help support Toasty get this wave in. And surprised if FlyQuest actually answering this and not playing for the Rift Herald themselves, because I feel like that was an option.
Yeah, they do have the little bit of swap lane assignments here, bringing Bradley down bot side to deal with Toasty Chime. Trying to get away from a very aggressive Kenby and Diamond. They're trying to collapse down to this bot side, though, with Toasty trying to take the turret here, too. Spear not going to connect. Bradley just needs to clear the wave. Does do so, indeed. Kenby going to take a shot. They are hovering here for so long. Wait. Look at Sajed. He's got killer instinct. That's going to turn into a 4v3 so quickly. Diamond goes back in. Here comes Sajed. Diamond trying to get it, but they actually get the trade back and forth. Now Lens is here. He hasn't gotten excited yet, but Toasty is the one that's all excited for Supernova as he finds himself a double kill, and Supernova are fighting back.
Bloody trade here from each of our teams, as each team, I think Supernova kind of overplayed their hand there, trying to make sure that this play worked. I'll take what FlyQuest ended up with as long as Sajed's able to eat this wave, which should be the case, but I will say it is dangerous for FlyQuest moving forward. If you make any mistakes in the Tristana Jinx, the resets that these two champions have to continue to push is deadly. And I think key, both Toasty and Lens come out of this play with kills and unscathed in the post play, as Diamond gets caught out, has a really nice re-engage. It does find everyone. And we do have Bradley pop like a balloon, which is a big shutdown over to Toasty. And then Lens coming down in, able to get a little bit of a piece as well. Toasty ends up getting the kill. But Trist Jinx, if you make mistakes in this comp, you will be punished. They're so safe. The resets make it so easy to team fight with them. And they are each set up with some gold and set up for success moving forward then.
Look at that damage. We also get first turret for Supernova, so they'll get a little bit more of that standing gold there. And the gold's showing off.
That's scary.
And Toasty. Rift Herald is secured at least by FlyQuest, though, so they'll get a little bit more standing gold on the map, too.
It is something as we kind of flip through the gold allocation a little bit more for Supernova, and especially that bot play, taking those plays for Lens. Once again, I think the focus for Supernova so far this game has been good. And if you are at this stage of the game, Lennon, with your Jinx and Tristana having the most gold in the game, each of them respectively, I think Supernova, that's about all you could ask for. Now it's just going to be, you know, is their front line going to be big enough to try and hold the door for them to get that first reset?
Yeah, I think they just have to be really wary of positioning. And again, the go buttons that FlyQuest has, speaking of, oh my god. Diamond forgot that he heard the button be pressed by FlyQuest. Now Toasty following up. They do have an angle onto Kenby here if Sajed wants to follow up with the Killer Instinct, but it will push off Supernova. They lose their support.
Yeah, and big thing there, Faisal did commit the TP, Surdy did not, so he's going to take bot turret all by himself now with the Grubageddon.
Massive, especially being able to get this standing goal in bot side that was maybe lacking for FlyQuest as they still had a steady advantage, but nobody's going to be here in time to collapse this one, so side lane will be secured by FlyQuest themselves. And that also means that we might see some interesting lane assignments as Sajed has started to lean up towards top side potentially, but it's also FlyQuest who have the more proactive hand now, even though we wanted that for Supernova.
I mean, Supernova can still lead on time. I think the onus is on FlyQuest to make plays now.
Kenby can't.
Well, I mean, you don't really have a lane to play towards with Nidalee this game.
Yeah.
And people are a little bit too tanky. Like, you have to play off Diamond engages. In the last 2 takes that Diamond's had, he's been a little bit overextended in the clock. I still think that given time, though, if you get Jinx plus Tristana going, there is no way to stop this duo once they do get going.
Yeah.
They're too safe. They have too much range, and the resets are too good. So it really has to be on FlyQuest to make sure that their engages are sound. And we'll say that Diamond being a little bit further up has given FlyQuest some decent angles that we just try and get in there. So we'll see if Diamond can take a little bit more of a cautionary approach for this upcoming fight.
It will be super crucial. We talked so much about Supernova's combinations and especially Diamond and Kenby working around Toasty. We have Dragon coming about 25 seconds or so. Diamond initially going to take the engage of FlyQuest. They get the TP out of the side lane of Toasty.
Surdy's going to stay top to try and get a couple more waves in. He could play for that turret. Again, it's Grubageddon. So any play that FlyQuest takes, they're first in the side lane, they're going to win very hard. It's really tough for Supernova to actually match trading outers because of how much faster FlyQuest will shove, and that looks to be the play here. As FlyQuest is going to use Grubageddon and Demolish Renekton to take this top outer turret and continue the push. They should get this wave in. They will drop the Rift Herald. Mid outer going to fall too, and they can always retreat to the top lane play to support the Renekton as they play this one out.
Yeah, I mean, they take it as soon as Supernova come over. They might be looking for
TP.
a fight, though. They're going to get TP in now as well. Diamond getting low, but they go in on the engage on a Toasty. He's by himself. That's one piece to the puzzle down. It's the dead. He smells blood in the water, and the Killer Instinct's kicking in here, too. Supernova going down one by one. Bradley stepping forward, but Sajed on a killing spree, making his name known. The carries for FlyQuest have come alive.
Bradley wanted to step up, and he did so there huge as the golf swing from Jace took Tristana out of the hop, melted Toasty, and made this an easy fight for FlyQuest to win. And Baron just spawned. They're going to retreat and take it.
And that was a classic positioning for Toasty on engaged champions, on the Nikos, on these champions. He loves to find flank side, but on the Tristana, he gets caught out at the end. We'll take a look back at that.
Diamond was chunked, too, from taking the Baron. I just don't think Supernova can fight for this. The opener is already so good for FlyQuest. And yeah, Toasty on his own. You can see getting knocked out of the rocket jump. Very well played by Bradley. He falls for free. The front line's already in rough shape. And when you have Renekton getting in the middle of 4, that's going to be a losing scenario as Supernova. I think that their commitment to take that Dragon and not play the lanes really bit them there. They needed to respect the Herald, respect the 6 scrubs, and drop that Dragon. By not doing so, it opened up a huge play for FlyQuest, which they cashed in. And now this front line, a Randuin's on Sejuani, a Sterax on Renekton. It's going to be so much harder to bust through this as Tristana Jinx with no LDRs yet in their inventories.
And the damage is going to start popping through, too, as going to be 2.5 items for Sajed and Bradley. They will take a tier 2 in mid lane. Inside lane, Toasty's trying to take down a little bit of that gold as well, but it's you see the poke from Bradley really taking half the health of Lens in that middle.
I think Bradley should actually be on this bot wave, which he's going to do late. They're a little bit late on this one. So it will be a decent Baron defense actually here for Supernova. I feel like this push was a little bit disjointed from FlyC. You want to try and sync up 2 of your side lanes. They had to fix the Toasty wave and then didn't have bot lane set up when they were doing that. So I don't really have 2 lanes to play off of. They will fix that now. We'll see if Supernova can defend. All the inners should pretty much fall.
And the siege is going to continue. Rally Cry Baron buff still up for 1 minute and 25 seconds. And with the amount of strength that Surdy has in his solo play right now on the Renekton, you can see why it's also just freely blind picks so often. And harkening back to the conversation you were having with Cassante earlier, starting to bear its ugly head. Another turret goes down, and the siege continues with the Grub again.
Yeah, and more shot blasts than they get forced off. Now Cassante is going to melt for free as Shaden continues to play.
They just take him down.
Yeah.
Okay, Diamond, he's
Careful.
got one back. This is it. This is the exciting. Oh my God, he just runs straight into a big old croc, and Surdy gobbles him up. That's going to be FlyQuest Challengers singling out members one by one of Supernova. That might have gotten a little personal there as well at the end. The Baron buff still up for 35 seconds, and this is the push for the finish in game number 1. FlyQuest looking to domineer a 1-0 start to this best of 3 as another one bites the dust and FlyQuest dominate.
Yeah, some really good hooks there from Chime to make sure that Baron push was clean. And what was a really close game for the first 18 minutes, Mazel, ends up being wrapped up off of one fight, one Baron from FlyQuest and CXT. And this is the team that we expected to see in spring, the team we were hoping to see more of in summer. And that was a damn clean game from FlyQuest to wrap that up.
It's crazy that after all that, all the back and forth nature is literally like a minute longer than our shortest game of the split. Like, that's just insane to me in FlyQuest, the decision making on full display there. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the player of the game for that one.
Yeah, I gotta say, we were a little bit contested on this, but I had to give it to Chimes Nautilus at the end. I think that last
the
fight,
color caster wins out, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Bradley was hard.
Had a
Both
nice
of them
one.
had great ones.
Yeah, Bradley had a nice one. He had some big plays in there, but I think the Nautilus and some of the takes that FlyQuest have, again, I really think that both of these jungle and support duos play well together and play off each other really well. But Shaden and Chime, for me, have just been on another level this entire year. And I think we saw some of that today. Diamond, he got picked a little bit twice. Ended up getting favorable scenarios for FlyC. And then that last fight, Chime's ability to prioritize the right target, use Flash to always threaten the backline. He's really, really solid on this pick. So good to see Chime continue to perform.
And especially when you put so much focus on the other side of the table for their mid jungle, or at least in their jungle support combo as well. It's really nice to see the two on FlyQuest, Shaden and Chime, having a great start to it. But now it is Supernova, who have not been ones to be known to go down easily. We'll see if they can bounce back into game 2 after a short little break. Welcome back, everyone, to NACL Summer 2024. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cuppy. We're getting into the second game of the second series here, where FlyQuest take a resounding 1-0 victory. Kind of came at us so quickly we didn't even know what to expect. But as we take a look back at the stats of that one, we'll see exactly why.
I mean, this game was a lot closer than what the final scoreline will tell you. But you can see quite the steep hill that FlyQuest were able to build.
4 minutes.
Yeah, it's quite the steep hill that we were able to build here. We were FlyQuest NZXT. Honestly, a really impressive wrap from them. Especially, I was kind of being a little bit rightfully harsh on Fear Starforge and their Baron deploys. And I was kind of like critiquing even that last one from FlyC. I was like, oh, they could have played like one wave faster. But hey, you know what? If you get engaged like that under tower and end up picking them off for one, you're going to tell me you take one Baron and end the game in that Baron? I'm going to say, hell yeah, whatever you're doing is working. And thanks to some nice takes from Shime and Shaden, they did just that.
And again, we came into this one expecting a big test of proving for both these two teams, both sitting exactly in the middle of the pack of our standings. But it was a moment where FlyQuest, coming off the championship season in spring, have higher expectations for themselves in a lot of these series and have felt like they've beat themselves in a lot of regards. But it's also about trying to find the strength for Supernova. We've known that Diamond and Kenvi can play so strongly around each other and around Toasty, but you have to find a way to unlock that. So now that we're going to be getting into game number 2, you have to think we're in Omega Overdrive Fearless 5000. So nothing that we saw in that game number 1 is going to be available for either side. So maybe some adaptation in that way.
Yeah, I think that we're going to still see the marksman focus for Toasty. Actually, I was talking to Toasty before the series because we mentioned in game 1 that we feel like Toasty's actually really picked up the marksman champion and have been quite good at them. So I was talking with him and he was like, yeah, you know, when I was playing League for fun, like up until season 9, I peaked at about D2 playing 80 carry. And now that I know that, like, I knew this guy had the gamer gene because he hit Immortal in Valorant and was considering going pro in Valorant and then just liked League better. Then it's like, yeah, playing casually, you know, he hit D2 playing 80 carry, which, yeah, I mean, that actually kind of adds up. Like, I feel like his marksman play has actually been quite good this split. I know we didn't see it as much, and he had a bad approach to the one fight they dropped. Supernova, I think, overforced
If
their
he was
hand.
on, like, Nico or something,
yeah,
that's game winning.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately,
He's
it was
just not
Trist,
on Nico.
and Bradley hit a hell of a cancel in there. But I do think that we've seen some good stuff out of Toasty, and I hope that we get to see another marksman game where hopefully he can shine, especially, like, Kenvi picking up the Ivern to play around Toasty has been a big story for Supernova, actually, this split, as Toasty's kind of, or Toasty and Kenvi have both rounded out their game one way and the other.
Well, we're getting into it now. Game number 2, we do have a swap up sides. Supernova are going to be on the blue side this time around, and we get the immediate TF ban, so respect still being thrown Surdy's way. On the other side, though, FlyQuest challengers NZXT on the red side. They will ban away the Zyra immediately. You also see in the middle of your screen all those fearless bans.
Yeah, and shout out to our production crew behind the scenes who updated their graphics this week. So now we have it organized by role. You can see the game score in the draft, which is a big shout out to Saad and the crew for always upgrading our stream. And that is my self-reminder to use the cockpit that we have more, where I can pull up the gold and the gold graph and the damage in game. I've been doing okay. I missed plates one game. That game was a bit of a mess, but you know we're holding ourselves accountable up here.
Yeah. You got Cubby playing like mechanical strings back here behind when we're all watching the games.
Usually I shut down the second monitor because it's a distraction, but now I just have like all these numbers that come up, and it's been nice. That's
a lot of buttons.
That's how I know Kais is like 25-30% magic damage most games, you know, no matter what build you go. It's really nice. You get some cool stats out of there.
Well, let's go ahead and catch up on what we have so far. It is the Ziggs and Braum joining the TF on the blue side. It is also the Ashe Callista joining the Zyra on the red side. First pick of the Leona.
No surprise there. Diamond really prioritizes this pick. And I gotta say, I had a misread on Leona in the meta. I thought Leona would actually kind of drop through the meta because you can get kited out by stuff like Ashe and Braum that are both off the table. I think I really underestimated how well Leona can interact with these mage junglers. Having a non-committal engage like with a solar flare to try and find picks on Karthus, Brand, Zyra, all who are very vulnerable when flash is down, and solar flare being something that not only outranges them, but like then you can follow up on, as well as proccing Leona's passive off all these magic damage junglers, which is super easy with all the tick damage in the game. It's made Leona very dominant and honestly warranting of a first pick. So now Leona plus Brand for Supernova, that is kind of this combo we're looking for in terms of having Leona open up and then proccing that passive consistently with Brand.
Yeah, I think an important thing here as we see Lucian locked in, I think they're thinking this is going to be an Ezreal mid. We haven't seen Sajed yet pick up the Ezreal in bot lane, but it's obviously always on the table. We have seen Bradley pick up the Ezreal a couple times. But the Alistar here, going to be a nice little counter engage, and especially a big tool for Chime.
Yeah, and I do love Chime's Alistar. Chime is someone that, I mean, I really hold in high regard. It's always fun to see Chime and Diamond go toe-to-toe as two players that have proved that, you know, they're kind of like always on the edge of playing LCS or not. I really feel like Chime's been putting together a couple fantastic splits, and it's selfishly a bummer to see him head off to law school, but I talked to him about it. I was like, hey, like, is it bittersweet or anything for you? He's like, no, man. He's like, I love competing in this game at the highest level I can, and I know that I have a new journey awaiting me in law school pretty shortly, but I'm just enjoying it while I can and doing the best. And Chime was, of course, our player of the game last game, and I think it's still played fantastic this split. So always good to see Chime, especially on this cow. He's very, very good in this pick.
I've always been very appreciative of Chime. He's always been a player that's been willing to do content, willing to kind of throw himself out there a little bit as well. So not only in game is he strutting his stuff, but out of game as well. Now we get the MF ban, as is tradition, I guess, in the second phase, if it's still open. Joining the Gragas ban for FlyQuest on the red side. It's the Camille already targeting Surdy yet again by Supernova.
I'm a little bit low on MF compared to where most teams have her. I do think that
the wombo combo is too good.
It's very warranted this game. Yeah, it's very warranted this game. I'm super down for an MF ban this game. You have Leona Brand and Karthus is really vulnerable to that. Alistar can get slowed a lot by MF. And also, if you want to open up a pick like Zeri that does struggle in lane against MF, it's now doable. So it looks like Zeri will be picked up. And we'll see. We've seen some Zeri mid. I think that given the Lucian, we're going to see Ezreal mid, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Ezreal. We'll see, though, exactly what we get in the end. But now we also have to look at our top lanes as counter pick. Primo available for Surdy. All the different choices now into the Aatrox that Faisal is going to be bringing to it.
I will say, I think that the Camille and the Jax ban, I'm looking at that like, it's probably going to be Aatrox coming out, which is the call for Faisal. You do get kited out quite a bit by Ezreal Zeri, so I think that Supernova is looking for an earlier spike overall. In terms of what they're playing. That said, in terms of the options that Surdy has now, Renekton, of course, that classically good matchup into Aatrox, I do think that you need some form of frontline for FlyQuest. I don't think it's the game for Yone. Even I was kind of like trying to set this up. Surdy loves this matchup, and I like the matchup a lot if you're Yone-sided, but going into a Leona on top of all this and a Brand, I think he'll really struggle. I think it's going to be a Surdy Gnar. Yeah.
There it is.
I think that's like the only pick that Surdy really had this game, given Cassante's off the table too. So some flexibility in the top side for Surdy. Does have the ability to side lane a little bit, but also, of course, impact the team fights if your Gnar timers are good. And Surdy, very, very good in this champion. It was one of the first champs I really knew him for.
I'm also just kind of brought back all of a sudden with a whiff of nostalgia to Zeri Aphelios bot lanes. We'll see who works out. A lot of team fight potential there between the two as well. And then a lot of burst potential from the mid lane ADs.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of gunslinging to watch out for.
I think overall, Supernova is going to spike a little bit earlier. FlyQuest, as this game goes on, I think Ezreal's slippery this game. And Zeri can kind of take over, not to mention the Karthus. But I think Supernova has a lot of advantages early in laning phase that I want to see if they can drive home, especially in that bot side of Aphelios Leona. That for me is like a double counter into the Zeri Alistar. So I think that Kenvy's going to path down there, and we'll see what he can do.
Getting into game number 2. Can Supernova bring us the distance? We've had a lot of 2-0s this weekend. See if we can get to 3 here between two hotly contested teams in the middle of the pack as we're getting closer and closer to the end of our season. Make sure to spam it in chat. Supernova, SN, or FlyQuest Challengers in ZXT, Fly C. Spam who you think's going to win this one. As we get into it, you see some of the ruins here. It is the Dark Harvest for Shade.
I was about to say, that's a little bit of a different setup here for Karthus. I'm actually not sure how Absolute Focus functions when you're in your passive. I'm going to assume that you don't get anything, but I could see some spaghetti code where, at 0 health, you're technically full health, Who knows? That said, that does make if Shaden wants to start a fight with an R, it actually does buff it up a little bit, which I find quite interesting. So.
We'll have to keep an eye on that one. Again, the big spotlight has been on the junglers. You guys know each other very well, previous roommates, but also two of our junglers in Tier 2 who have, in their own respective times, dominated our league. Yeah. And we saw that Shaden got the better of Kenvy in that game number 1.
That's the case. I think it was a harder setup for Nidalee. But we'll see what,
for sure.
yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. I do want to amend. I thought it would be Brand going top to bot. I said Brand's actually going to get a leash and work his way up top. So I don't think you have the timer where you're actually able to invade Karthus, but maybe with the leash, we'll see if Kenvi is able to pressure Karthus early on. You do win that duel early on, especially if you're up a red buff. So keep your eye out to see if Kenvi walks in there.
And that's always something I'm looking at when you have the Brand into the Karthus. Karthus is fine, just kind of clearing. So is Brand in a lot of regards, but you have the option to be a little bit more aggressive. And knowing Kenvi, he'll be looking to get the better of Shaden in every regard he possibly can. Now we see the push being contested for here in the bot side 2v2, but both junglers going to be pathing away from this one, so maybe more reliance on this top side of the map here this time around.
Yeah, and this matchup in Mini, Nar's pretty happy going up against Aatrox. And I like this matchup for Gnar. I think that unless you mess up and like your hop gets canceled, you can't really die. And that's what Faisal is going to be looking for. A way to cancel the hop from Surdy. Try and find him there. Let's see. Nice sidestep there from Surdy. Get out of the chains.
Gonna have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Because side laning is gonna be super important, because if FlyQuest get a Gnar ahead of the side lane, it just is another avenue that Supernova have to deal with. So now we see Toasty at the level 3 mark, gonna have a lot more say in this matchup as well in mid lane too for the priority.
Yeah, I do want to say, so I think that leash for Kenvi, it just turns out that he's about to go even in the clear against Karthus, as that Glomp is going to finish. Shaden already finished his clear. There's going to be a base to go play for the bot crab, as it's been a hard setup for Supernova for this top crab. Faisal committed his ward in the top rush, and Kenvi also getting in the river early. We should go over to Supernova for free.
Gonna push over for it. I think Shaden lovingly just gonna walk towards bot side, get his own scuttle crab. Already did get hit by the chain there. About to have Mega Gnar. Kenvi's coming around. Is not spotted just yet. So already going to play a little bit safe in the lane here.
Surdy should be okay. He's going to get some health back. But that setup for Faisal, of course, the E-Shield second win. I'm going to do a little bit of work to make sure that he's okay. That's Chime. Cheeky little headbutt to make sure that wave gets in. Doesn't take a tower shot.
I love that, man. It's the little things. Especially when you see two guys like Chime and Diamond go at it.
I will say, Diamond for me has been the best Leona player that we've had so far this split. I think that him and Superdome have really abused him at timers you find in side lanes later on is Chime.
I don't know if they expected Shaden there. Lens gets headbutt back. He is going to burn the flash, so maybe revisit it. Can be on his way. Maybe Diamond wants to follow up the Gravitum. Locks down Chime. They're going to get the Ignite right back on a Diamond.
Good ward and Ignite on the Diamond. I actually think that there is a world where if Diamond doesn't eat a little bit more damage in the back half, they can re-engage. As you can see, Shaden spend a little bit of extra time here, and they're going to have the re-engage.
Oh, double headbutt pull. You mentioned it in the draft. Chime's Avalstar is dirty. And first blood to Sajed.
X-Flash gets it done. As FlyQuest challengers, they get the wave in. Lens misses everything, and Kenvi will pick it up, but now you're going to have Shaden take off in the jungle and actually be able to threaten his top camps and maybe even a grub. So the re-engage, they're really good, and that's a big turnaround too, because I think that the way this matchup goes, it should be Aphelios Leona ahead. But just given that the jungler came first for FlyQuest, Shaden able to help turn this matchup around and get a lead for Sajed.
That's massive, especially for Sajed coming off his Rookie of the Split performance in spring. And I really think that both these guys have a lot on their shoulders today, especially with how well Tomo's been playing as the ADC position. Has a couple names in the hat for best in the league. And now looks like FlyQuest. They're going to get just full-on pounced on up here. There isn't even an Italy in the game anymore. As Bradley's getting the culling to the back, he walks up topside. I don't know, the burn, no, the heal away from Chime is going to be enough there. As Supernova, they push FlyQuest away from their own jungle.
I like that play from Supernova. I think if Kenvi goes for his own top camps, then Shaden just ends up out-ramping him and beating him there. Instead, goes for the contest, pushes Shaden off. And now there's actually a world where you can look at the grubs as Kenvi, with the brand, melts through him very quickly, and Shaden has no resources left to contest this. So first grubs going over to Supernova off that play. Good walk and good play from Diamond and Kenvi to turn that.
See if they actually can go for the split here, but it looks like the back just from Shaden get back to the bottom side. The grubs are going to be a big thing to revisit, though, because getting grub again for this composition is going to be very, very hard to deal with under turret. We take a look back bot side as redeploy from FlyQuest is this way. Maybe they look to start stacking dragons their own.
Gotta be the play. Kenvi can clean up his top camps, and then we'll want to reset after that. I think Shaden, it's burn blue into burn dragon. But still, really nice from Supernova. I think if they don't go for that Raptor invade, then the Grubs timer just kind of becomes FlyQuest's. By breaking the script that Arthas had after the bot play, that's what got Supernova and Kenvi the Grubs. So, good play. That was a really good read from them.
And that's the kind of pickup we can...
But I like to see. Well, it's been good jungle support
that
play.
Game number 1.
Like Shime was there to answer. They were beat there by Supernova. I think that was well played from both of our teams. And for me, Supernova just stronger there at the moment to beat it as we have... Oh, looks to be at least one ult pops in the top side.
They're wrapping around.
Yes, Surdy's still waiting on his Mega. Envy does have Flash. Wants to get a little bit weird.
Oh, the mini Gnar might be the doom of Surdy.
Bradley's no TP.
Yeah,
they want this.
They have a feeling that this could be a play for them.
Going through the rejuves. Kenvy's still going to be here. We'll see if Surdy can outplay.
I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Throws up the thumbs up. He's just going to try to clear the wave. Gets the hop over, but the burn's going to be enough. The passive tick, tick, boom. Kenvy gets the kill.
That didn't get the cannon either, and it's going to be a couple plates going over to Faisal here. Surdy did burn that TP, so Faisal going to feel really good about this. As the ult burn from Faisal, Kenvi was on the top side, Shaden was not. That said, what does Kenvi lose for this? It's at least going to be, looks to be the Raptors taken by Shaden. As Toasty going in on Bradley.
Fisticuffing it right now. Shaden's getting killed by Diamond. By himself now, Bradley in a 1v1. Toasty gets the outplay there because he misses the Mystic. Shane trying to get Diamond in the end, but he's dodging the Skittles beautifully. Now we got the play on bot. Lightning crashes. Here goes Lens. He's healing up so much from the red wipe, but the Requiem will sing him to sleep. Shane getting a kill back for FlyQuest.
What a crazy event of plays, as you called it, fisticuffs from Diamond. Kind of brawling to the death, trying to force Shaden out. Wasn't able to do so. Lost his own health bar, and the Requiem gets a kill for the Karthus in the end. I kind of need to see the scoreboard to see who came out on top of that. I think it's big that they were able to protect some of the camps for Brand on the bot side, but again, Shaden on this clear should be fine stepping up now.
Look at all the boots completed for FlyQuest already. It's wanted a lot of move speed to maybe get away from the wants of Supernova, but this is also a much better showing, it feels like, of stability in the early game for Supernova. It was maybe isn't the proactive Kenvi always finding the games, but he has been solid in this one.
I think... Like, again, for me, Supernova kind of have to try and make plays early. I think that the take that Faisal and Kenvi set up on the top side in the Surdy was really good. But it was kind of awkward, like, that fight in the back half. Like, yes, I think Diamond needs to play defense, but the heavy trade of Toasty into Bradley, like, yes, he found the 1v1, so good read from Toasty to sidestep that Mystic shot, but if that goes Bradley's way, it could have been pretty toast for Supernova. And for me, with Diamond fighting the jungler and then Toasty fighting mid, that's something that Supernova can actually look to patch up and find more tempo after that if they take the play together and just guarantee a kill, right?
Oh, they couldn't get the scuttle grab there. It's going to get a reset. A little worried what was coming over the death wall there from FlyQuest. We do have first item out onto the map by Kenvi with the Leandries. He does have that spike over Shaden for now. Maybe trying to utilize that, as there will be another spawn of those grubs coming up, and it's on the grub again for Supernova.
I'm curious if Shaden goes for the torch this game. I know Inspired's been building it. Again, I think the Blackfire torch, it's a faster clear off the bat, and then it scales harder than the Andres, and you're not really against health stackers this game if you are Karthus. So I do think it's a torch game for the Karthus.
What he ends up completing there is he's going to finish his clear. Grubs are already started, so FlyQuest just giving this one up, but maybe they make it up for the bot lane play. Sajed always popping the lightning crash. That's a nice stun, and Sajed's going for the plays. Lens can't keep up, and he's going down. The burn, it's not going to be enough here. Sajed, oh, it is! Diamond, the calculation, and Chime didn't have the heal back in time. Meanwhile, the Grubs did go over to Supernova, so they got all 6, and they'll take that play.
Last tick of Ignite gets it done for Diamond. It still is the kill going to Sajed, and Lens being set behind. So again, this bot lane match has been turned heavily. Now we'll see if they can turn mid. Toasty dash.
Rest. Toasty is about to be burnt as he gets taken out by the Shaden combo in the end.
Nice play by FlyQuest Challengers. Toasty not respecting the fact that we could have had Chime rotate up Now, though, we have Kenvi looking for a point in the back half. Chime will get out. Shaden has flash available.
Oh, he tried to make the play.
No.
He gets him anyways. The electrocute coming up big. Now Shaden, he has to flash out. The Pyroclasm coming in now. They do get the skill back, and Diamond's just going over clutch here. Double kill goes to Kenvi on his former roommate, Diamond. He's still alive, baby. The healing potion coming from the potions.
He's good. Kenvi can take the camp. Supernova, big win. As Chime, he was kind of playing with the range of the combo, ended up failing it as he went down. I thought the flash from Kenvi was too much, but Kenvi playing at his own beat of the drum, as you called him, ended up being big there for Supernova.
Not having the item spike, the difference in the Leandries, it actually matters.
Yeah, that was big, as it is the Andres picked up here by Shaden. And some back and forth plays, a lot of chaos on the map. The big winners, though, coming out of it for me, Sajed, really big lead into this Aphelios. And also, Kenvi accelerated against Shaden in the jungle, is down flash. A lot of summoners are down right now, and this is the game state that you want to be in if you are playing Leona. So I want to see Diamond try and push the pace, as we're going to get a replay. This was the Hex Flash on the Toasty, who had that dash used, flashed out, was not able to get out. But then Kenvi, they were setting up a play on the top side. He rotates on down. The flash in the Chime immediately went for the Bangarang combo. If you throw the Q into the E and find the insta-stun, one isn't able to be hit. It's still able to melt Shaden in the end. I really thought that Shaden and Bradley might have been able to have this. If Bradley hits one Mystic Shot on the Kenvi, he would have went down to the Requiem. But not the case, as Diamond chugging the potions, and Kenvi also able to sneak on out just with enough health. They were each able to get out with the kill on the Shaden. Supernova try and balance out this game. Looks like, though, while we were in the replay, Dragon was secured by FlyQuest NZXT.
It's a pretty big pickup to continue scaling, because, again, their team fight is going to be massive later on. Shaden's always going to be scary as he goes. We've also already seen what Ezreal can do today. But Sajed having that 2 kills going to be big. Certainly get a nice little tap on the back by Toasty. But we do have first item completions coming up for majority members, primarily as well Faisal having the Eclipse completed there in the side lane.
Yeah, plates are almost down here, and I think it's just Sajed. Like, he doesn't even have the Cole finish yet. He already has the Shiv. He's going to be sprinting towards that Hurricane as Chime.
Unbreakable will pop.
Out.
Yeah, he doesn't have much health left, but they do have Shade and Bradley over the wall. So the threat is enough to pull Supernova off, and now Bradley can get some poke damage onto Diamond.
That's a nice look, though, from Supernova. I think they took enough health away where that Rift Herald will just go over to Kenvi. They have priority in the other lanes. So I actually think that timer from Diamond was quite good.
Move Lens over. They will secure the Rift Herald, so some more standing gold still on the table for Supernova.
Still plates. You can see Sajed. Like, Sajed's going to be a concern in this game. It is going to be on Surdy and Chime to make sure that their engages are sound to get Sajed into these fights, because he can get outranged by the Aphelios, Lucian, the Brand, the Aatrox. Like, if you play at that magical little range just outside of what Zeri can do, you have a pretty big potential here to Wombo if you are Supernova and try and take Zeri out.
Flip is actually starting to do a decent amount of work down here.
Trouble,
Chime
though.
has roamed his way here. Meganar gets the stun in the wall. Faisal now in a 1v2 Requiem, down to 1v3. They're bringing all the hurt in those wings. They can't flat fast enough. Surdy gets the kill.
Good find from Chime. They beat Diamond and Supernova to the bot side play, as they will lose the ward. Kenvi has snuck in here. Chime, that might be a one-way trip, my friend. Oh, he's
getting the flash. Diamond going under turret. Now Surdy is trying to kill Kenvi. Flash out from Diamond now. Sajed has found the angle here. He's got the lightning crash, but he's all by himself. He's being taken out. Diamond gets traded in the end, but it's Sajed that gets one back too, killing Kenvi.
Honestly, really big shutdown going over to Lens, but it's still FlyQuest coming out on top of the play. As Supernova were late to the response, were overextended, stayed around for too much time in the bot side, and allowed for the rest of FlyQuest to come collapse.
Such a big series of plays. I feel like both these teams have not let each other rest one bit. And on top of all of that, Surdy will be the one that takes a first turret in the side lane for FlyQuest. So they've ballooned that early lead to 3,000 gold. And Supernova, they have to use some of this strength. They have to use this Rift Herald play to make something happen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really didn't see how Chime was able to beat Supernova down to the bot side. But that was big. Just investing the Karth Assault to get Surdy that kill, and then the turn afterwards. I think Supernova thought there was too much invested in the one kill on the Aatrox, and they might be able to turn something, but I thought Shime played that really well. He burned his flash to take Diamond under the turret. Diamond had the flash out and then had nothing else. Asuri was just able to walk him down. And Sajed, I mean, he was shut down by Lens. That was big, Mazel, but at least he was able to trade one back.
And again, we've seen Chime in the LCS. We've seen him dominate from the support position here in Tier 2, and it's going to be worse for it once he is gone, but it's really nice to see him have 100% KP, by the way, in this second game, but also have some game-winning moments so far in 2 games in a row. And speaking of, he's going to force Kenby's flash out.
3, 2. And that's the most valuable flash that you can take this game, as Kenby is the one that is ahead, and Brand is now someone that can be focused by FlyQuest challengers. So Chime continuing to really ramp up the pressure. Keep in mind, Diamond was spotted top there. So Chime knew that he had a man advantage by going in. They were able to get Kennedy's flash. So really nice play as FlyQuest. They've done a nice job of taking control over the bot side jungle, which given Dragon spawning in 30 seconds is quite nice. Diamond get the bad news, as it's an uphill battle as Supernova wants access to what could be potentially a soul point for FlyQuest NZXT.
And it's an Infernal Soul on top of that. Like, imagine giving these 280 carries.
Karthus doesn't
Infernal
want that,
Soul, but
Lennon.
also the Karthus.
You think Karthus wants Infernal Drakes? Come on.
No, why
Come
would you
on.
want that? Never. I'd never seen Karthus and an Infernal Dragon Soul in the same room together. We are seeing Diamond take the same room with the Rift Herald here, charge into the mid lane, but he might be caught out now. TP going to be burned, though, so that is Bradley coming to rejoin the fight. Surdy on the other side trying to get some Mega Gnar bars stack up, as Dragon has already spawned.
Surdy's got to be careful. I think he's going to pop it right here. Yeah, throwing out the rank. So Surdy's gone Mega. Vysal's off to the side. Chime, he wants
they're
it.
completely split. Look on the other side. They do not have
That's a nice off the lens.
Vysal cancel, though. Sajed going over the wall now. Big Moonlight Vigil wins. There's the Requiem, though, to kind of separate them, and they're already taking 2 down with Surdy. And now Sajed's going forward with his own flash. Supernova have no bodies left. You look back to the fight, your bodies are gone, and Dragon's Soul Point is just going to go to FlyQuest, and Supernova have to back away.
I think things just went from bad to worse here for Supernova. Keep in mind, scaling. I do favor FlyQuest in this one, too. In that fight, they just picked one side of the fight. You called it out, Mazel. It was Vysal stuck on the other side looking for the pinch. Chime fully committed onto Kenby, whose flash was gone from the skirmish they found as we take another look. Surdy has Mega going. They know they're on the Dragon. Vysal's in the brush, and yeah, it's just straight onto the flashless member. It's a really good turn from Diamond and Lens, but they don't care as long as they pick this side of the fight. Chime's taking everything up in the Unbreakable. Yeah, the Karthus goes down, but you're still a Karthus. Vysal can't walk through that. Lens can't either. So by picking one side of the fight, FlyQuest challengers made it pretty easy for them to play that one out.
And still a massive function is just the go buttons that they've been able to pull off. Yeah, he's doing a lot of work here at Requiem. It's singing sweet nothings to Supernova here. And now you can't really rest on it because FlyQuest can be more proactive now. We've passed the stage where Kenby can be the more proactive one. He does have the rallies now, so a big spike for the brand, but they need to be a little bit careful how they overextend.
Well, Toasty is able to pick up this top outer, and Bradley did dash. He's going to eat a lot of the big coin. So, dash, and he jumped. Dashes and jumps, you know. He should have a movement spell. I gotta say, I think Supernova, like, I just think they're out of gas in this one. And I think where the resources went early, Kenby is immobile on the brand and was able to get punished with some of the skirmishes that were taken, whereas Sajed getting fed on the Zeri, he's yet to be stopped, Mazel.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He is he's making a good case of contesting Tovo in a lot of regards. Obviously, our rookie of the split in spring, and it's been really nice to see him. He's such a humble guy as well, but he's always got that growth mentality, and it just sticks to FlyQuest's mantra of finding these cracked ADCs and growing them up in the developmental leagues.
Yeah, it's wild to say that Sajed and Masu are on similar trajectories, and that not being unfair to Sajed, because that's a hell of a high bar to set, given what Masu did last year and what he's done so far in LCS this year. But returning to this game, good chunk on the Chime, as Supernova, you see Kenby just trying to fish, find a little bit of damage, but they're still the ones on the back foot. Baron has spawned. Mid is being shoved in by this Zeri, and Bradley will have access to top side first, so Supernova really having to play back in their jungle.
trying to threaten the Baron at any case, but they are just waiting on the Dragon timer in all actuality. Supernova looking to try to make a play on top side. Bradley going to be playing up. Does have a lot of members to fight over. Ooh, True Jump Barrage going a little bit wide there. Trying to stop the backs in any case. It is the outer turret taken by FlyQuest, who will continue to grow this steady lead. And now they're collapsing over onto Toasty. You gotta get out now. Hit the evac button.
Really like how FlyQuest Challengers plays out the map. They get bot in deep. Surdy shifts it up to a mid turret, and then they're going to shift it all up to a top outer, making it look a little bit easier here against Supernova. Jaden even going to be able to sneak away at least one camp. Blue buff will go over, which is... that buff does get open to everyone. Everyone gets a blue buff now in the new season. Actually, everyone might get into the action on the top side. As Diamond's really looking. He can trade ult for flash for Shaden, but he's getting chunked out by not doing much.
They want to go for the engage here, though. They actually get Shaden, but that might be what he wants. They actually also catch out Bradley. Here comes the Requiem, though. Toasty is dead. And now Chime trying to separate Faisal away from the rest of them. Surdy has Megadar. You can try to follow up, but Supernova with bodies strong here means FlyQuest have to back away as they lost 2.
Yeah, nice sync up there from Kenby and Diamond to find Shaden. Shaden had flash available, but did not use it. So the Karthus melts. They get the Requiem out. They take 1 bonus member. So well played. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
goodbye, Lens.
Okay. Little gameplay action there. It was the barrier burn, though, so Lens won't have that defensive tool going forward.
The job is maybe going to be able to take him down, but can be scaring him away just enough. I will say, we'll see. I think Zerial will be up in time for Dragon, but this is Soul for FlyQuest Challengers. So they had a lot of control in the topside jungle that's now been dropped, and we see an instant response from Supernova. Toasty TPing bot side to try and get bot lane priority. I'm curious to see if Supernova actually plays this entrance through bot lane. I think it might be better for them if they are able to set up a pincer around that big wall with the Aatrox.
I will just point out, though, Sajed has 3 items now.
That's big.
And that is a massive team fight implication here going forward. But they're going to try to get contestant over mid-prio first.
I don't love this approach for Supernova. I think it's better if they actually played through bot and tried to get Aatrox to pincer. I think that's the one way that Supernova gets a really good approach this game, is if you get Faisal at an angle. And because of where FlyQuest is at, they have full info on Faisal. So Surdy chasing Aatrox off.
Yeah, he's getting Meganar up here, trying to get them in a choke point potentially. You have to watch where the Pyroclasm is going to be used. Yeah, this is really difficult, but Supernova do not want to give an Infernal Soul over. Diamond trying to find an angle over here. Dragon already started. Requiem now has gotten off cooldown. We're getting Surdy all inning over here. Here comes the engage from Chime. The re-engage, rather. Kenby is in there. He gets shade, but here comes the Requiem. You came for the Dragon, and all you got was death. As FlyQuest come in and sweep Supernova out of the fight. They'll take the Dragon Soul, and now they're surrounding them like the beasts they are. And Toasty, the only one left. That's a full-on ace.
Yeah, playing through mid there, really tough against Ezreal, who can always threaten and to pepper the wave and get prio. Supernova, they TP'd bot, shifted it up mid, and then just got flushed out by FlyQuest, who played a really good objective setup. So the positioning here for Supernova is just so tough. As Kenby, he flashed in the one-shot Shaden. They were trying to take him down before the Dragon went down, which actually isn't a terrible call at this point, but you're still trading a smite for smite. And Faisal does a decent job of holding the door in the back half, but Lens and Toasty just could never fully get involved in the fight, given the split front line, and it made it rather easy for FlyQuest to clean everything up.
Yeah, you see the cleanup here. Toasty's trying to get an angle on Sajed, but can't find it in the end, and once you lose that front line for this composition from Supernova, it becomes very difficult.
I really think that playing through bot was the answer for Supernova. That was the wave they were first on. They could have avoided the Ezreal poke and actually tried to find a pincer instead. Kind of playing front to back, and they have the same scenario now as Baron's at 4K.
Pyroclasm is not up yet. You don't have a way in, and now FlyQuest just completely kicks you out. Lens with a big Moonlight Vigil, but Surdy already caught him completely too. A big Megadar. This is a signaling of the end. You might be a world-ending Aatrox, but unfortunately, Supernova has just literally gone their namesake. They are all gone, and Toasty once again, the only one left, but this time he is only in topside, and the mid lane siege is on point for FlyQuest.
I gotta say, talking with Chime before this series, he mentioned discipline, what their team was missing from spring. This has been a disciplined series from FlyQuest Challengers as they're looking to cruise to a 2-0.
They're on the doorstep here, and it's been 2 games that they have just triumphantly found advantages and then ballooned them. And they are clearly heads and above Supernova in this series, and they're taking them. Oh my God, they're dead! You didn't have to do that, man. They were already dead. That's FlyQuest 2-0 Supernova and move on to 4-2.
Yeah, a really good series from FlyQuest Challengers. We were teasing. These were 2 teams looking to really position themselves, get back to the top of the standings, and FlyQuest Challengers, for me, still the team to beat in this league if they are on their game. We didn't see that last week as they dropped to Disguised in a 2-1 series. But today, that was a FlyQuest Challengers that were tested and given a little bit of a wake-up call by Disguised last week and looked damn good against Supernova.
It's really nice to see this team bounce back, a team that we know pushes themselves very hard. Both of these teams. I mean, we talked about all the relationships across, but the fact that we saw FlyQuest Challengers kick it up to another gear here, they were so cohesed, and I think that has been a problem in their recency, is trying to find the early advantages into wins, and here they were just holistic wins. There was some fighting left and right. I mean, Supernova are a good team in their own right, but the fact that FlyQuest were able to just find that weak point in the most pivotal points of the game, and especially Chime, it was incredible to watch.
This is a scary team, man. Especially with the Shaden and Chime duo, they play so smart, and then when you're able to roll that into the talent this team brings to the Rift every game, I think that when these guys are on their game, they are the team to beat. Dragonsteel are really trying to make that them the team to beat with this season narrative. I'm excited for those 2 teams to face each other, and I don't know when they're going to face in playoffs, but we're got to get that matchup at some point in playoffs. But
what is NACL without the long-standing legacy grudge matches in finals? We might have to see that one come through yet again. But we're going to step away. We're going to take a little break. On the other side, we'll have Chime to talk to for the Rally Cry post-game interview. Welcome back, everyone, to the Rally Cry post-game interview. I'm here with none other than Chime from FlyQuest in ZXT Challengers. And after a dominating Alistar performance, I gotta ask, it was really fun to watch you and Diamond go at it. I think 2 of our biggest brain supports in the league. Did you have any thoughts going into the matchup against them and kind of the leadership that you 2 bring to each other's teams?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I play Diamond, you can feel like if you lose a little bit of pressure, he's going to call a jungler and like make it hard for you to breathe. And then I think like vice versa. So I think he's like a really good shot caller. And we usually like DM after games and say like, oh, you did this well or whatever. So yeah, it's always fun to play with them.
All right, all right. Do you have a DM in mind right now that you want to share that you think you did well?
Not really. I mean, I think we just played well as a team today, so it was less about the individual, more like team stuff.
Understandable. And I want to talk about the team a little bit here, especially your role on it. I mean, it obviously seems like you and Shaden combine extremely well on the same page. But what is your role exactly? Do you find yourself a lot of times making the strategic decisions in the games and things like that?
No, I mean, I think it's more of like a collaborative effort. Like I don't think like it's like a one person strict shot calling. I think the facilitators like myself and Shaden do a lot to like call them up, but the solo laners do as well. And everyone chips their part in. I mean, AD carries don't call them out because they just shoot minions or whatever. But yeah. I think everyone does their job, and it's like it's a collaborative thing.
Now, we do know that you're planning to go off to school, and I want to talk about maybe what you feel like the rest of the split is looking like for you, especially, and with some of the strength that you guys have garnered a little bit, pushing up into the higher ranks in the standings. What do you want to pull off for this team, and like, what do you want to provide for them moving forward?
I mean, we should pull off first. I want to pull off first, like, and win.
Yeah.
Anything less, I think, is like we're dropping the ball. Like, no shade, but you should have confidence in your own team and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I want to leave with like a win and with some like good advice for Cryogen. I mean, everyone who's going to be staying in the scene on my team should have a really good trajectory from this, I hope. And they all like deserve it. So.
Do you have any inside look into your relationship with Cryogen and what you've been able to provide thus far, at least to them in the early parts of the split?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really provided that much. He's like a smart player and a smart kid, and he's obviously high rank. So like he's got it on his own, but we like exchange a lot of information about like timers and matchups and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think he just like he's got it, and like he just needs like time. And, yeah.
I love it. Your own checkup on how you've been feeling about your play so far. The Alistar was impeccable, my friend. But how do you feel like so far you've been able to represent?
I think I've had an okay split. I think I've had some games I've played really well, and some games I've played pretty poorly. So I think it's about consistency, which is like not something you can be saying in your last split. Like I should be Mr. Consistency. So I'm working on that.
I love to hear that, man. Well, it's always a growth mindset, and that's always what we love to hear. So give you a chance, give some shout outs before we let you go.
Oh yeah. Shout out my girlfriend for watching, Avery. Shout out my family for watching, my parents and my sisters and my cousins, and any friends watching. And yeah, shout out my team. They smurfed it today.
You're all seemingly Smurfs at this point. Thank you so much, Chime. I'm going to go ahead and bring back Covey as we round out the day here. Lovely to hear from a lot of the mindset behind this team that I feel like we have seen a lot of strength from a lot here recently, as well, in the cohesion the team brings to the table, and especially at the head when we hear the leadership is between a lot of these big brain players that are all here on FlyQuest.
I mean, I think something that I always actually appreciated was like the sentiment from Sven, where if you are a young player playing in a good roster, it's kind of on you to improve faster. And I think that with FlyC, like, we have seen this. Shaden, Chime, they've played LCS. Surdy has played a while. They're all pretty experienced. Bradley's kind of bouncing back in, but to see him and Sajed really scale up with his team and have that more disciplined performance that I know that FlyC was looking for, especially after the drop last week, it's really good. And it just keeps on feeding into what I'm really looking forward to, which is going to be NACL playoffs, man. I really feel like there are 6 teams that I can see making runs and like 4 teams hoisting the trophy. And I don't think I've ever had a split of NACL where I'm like, yeah, it could be one of 4 teams I can see winning in the end. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it feels like we've really leveled up a lot. Let's go ahead and take a look at the level up of some of our teams from today, though, as we take a look at the standings. Yes, Dragon still lord over everyone, but FlyQuest and Fear, they're up there.
Yeah, and again, I feel like even Supernova, they didn't have their day today, but we've seen better series from Supernova too. I really feel like this top 6 can be really competitive. I'll throw Winthrop in there too. I think they've had some iffy series, but also some really strong series. I really feel like we're going to have a very competitive playoff run. And congrats to Fear Starforge and FlyC for throwing wins into that column, and especially for Fly C for bouncing back after what was a bummer of a 2-1 against DSG last week.
Yeah, we're getting to the final couple weeks of NACL, which is just absolutely terrifying because there's not a lot of space between some of these teams here, and standings do matter in the end for the seeding of our playoffs. And the top two maybe a little bit more of importance here for our teams. But I do also want to take the time because it is the end of the week, and it's our time for our Samsung SSD Fast 5. We take a look at some of the fastest stats around the maps that we've had this weekend. UG sitting at 6 minutes and 16 seconds on the level 6.
Those 3 junglers, man, they're all pretty good. UG's still edging them out. I mean, if you put 3 junglers on your most valuable prospect ballot last split, I would have called you a little bit crazy, but honestly not too crazy. I think the interesting one is ABO today, the fastest legendary. I think that would have had to have been was it the Corki game, or I'm kind of curious. He was a beast in each. It might have been the Azir game,
or maybe it was the Azir game. Who knows the actual representation, but it is interesting nonetheless to have seen a lot of representation from PRX Starforge as well across this one. I know Winsome was having a hell of a series today as well.
Yeah, that turn he had on the Leona, especially, that was really, really nice. As Fierce Starforge still had a couple slip-ups, but man, I really feel like they're a team where if they come to compete, they can beat anyone in the league. And looking at a lot of the logos up there, I mean, Dragonsteel and FlyQuest NZXT, I think each of these teams can easily get to finals and maybe hoist a trophy again. Fierce Starforge look good. Disguise has been scaling. TLC has been scaling a little bit. Supernova had a tough game today, but they've been very competitive in other series. I mean, I really feel like we have a very closely contested split of Challengers League, and I'm enjoying it.
It's been a lot of fun. Cubby, thank you so much for joining me on the energy-filled ride that we had today. It was a little bit short, but it was sweet nonetheless. Now, Challengers League, NACL, we'll be back next weekend, and on Saturday, we'll see you again, and we'll see you on Summoner's Rift.